That came in a little sooner than I thought it was going to, but there we are. Hello, welcome to CirclemakersTV. I've got a problem with my audio, but there we go. I'm going to plug it into this one instead so I can hear myself live, because it does sound a little bit echoey. And we've got Cassie the dog. There's Cassie the dog. Hello, Cassie the dog. Hello. No, not interested. Yeah, slightly interested. Anyway, no Agent S this week because I did a silly thing and I said I'm going on the show on my own tonight, and that meant that I was trying to imply that I didn't need Agent S, so Agent S doesn't actually think she should be on the show this evening, so she's gone off to do other things. So, my silly mistake, I should be more implicit by what I mean, i.e. I'm doing the show tonight, as in I am the person who is going to be on the show tonight, but I still need you. There we are, my mistake. But if anybody's got her Skype or a telephone number, you can try and coax her on the show, but I haven't been able to so far myself. So what have we got tonight on the show for you? We've got lots of controversial stuff. I'm going to be talking to you about a little friend of ours called Mr. Andrew BUCKLEY. Hope you're watching, Andrew, because this one's going to be all about you. We're going to have some fun tonight. I'm going to rip you a new arsehole. Okay, no, I'm not, of course. That would be a terrible thing to do, but we will do something. What we will do is we will give you an injection of something called the truth, and we will inject it intravenously straight into your bloodstream, and we'll see what it does for you. And you're going to learn some things tonight, Mr. BUCKLEY, if you didn't know them already. So let's make sure that we've got people in channel. Let me just bring up the chat window, and I'll bring up the titles as well so that you can understand what's going on. If you want to get to us on the web, we're on www.CirclemakersTV.org, and if you want to get to us on Skype this evening, you can Skype the show by adding us as a user called CirclemakersTV, and you can send us chat text, but it's much better to chat to us in the live stream window, which I'm now going to pull up on my Firefox and say, oh, hello. So let me just say, are you all hearing and seeing this okay? Because I just don't know. I can see some figures ticking around at the top of my screen, which means we're transmitting, but that doesn't mean anything. Now, this is going to be a very technically fraught show this evening because I know for a fact I've had the machine crash a couple of times before when I've tried to do a show like this, where we're showing video up in the windows. And to get it running at full frame speed, we unfortunately have to do a few things, makes the machine a little bit buggy, and so I've got to be extra careful with what I'm pressing, the buttons I'm pressing tonight, so that we don't crash the system. So yeah, I think a few people are saying that they can see us, and that's great. So right, basically, if you're watching this on live stream at the moment, live, if you want to scroll down your window, your web screen window, on the right hand side you'll see a little white box. Now if we're live, there'll be people tapping away and chatting in that window, and you're more than welcome to go in that window and type some stuff in yourself, and your points will appear. Now what we say is, if you want to actually get the attention of the show hosts, which to me is one person tonight, that's myself. If you want to get my attention, if you just put Matthew in capital letters, okay, and then I will know that it's a question that you'd like read out on the show, or like a direct response to. If you don't put it in capitals, then you're just chatting to each other in the channel, and I may miss that. I probably miss it anyway, but there we go. So we've got quite a few people. Yeah, let's have a look. Andrew Perker says, hi, to let you just know that adverts are playing okay, but transmission is locking up every few seconds. Don't know if anybody else is getting that. Yeah, this business with the adverts. Let's have a little chat about that for a second, because I'm getting really pissed off with this advert situation on live stream. I mean, I'm very grateful for what they do, because it's providing a service that you couldn't get any other way, but it's very invasive because these adverts are coming for 1 minute every 15 minutes. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if it paused the live stream that we are seeing now, if it paused it and came up on my screen saying you're in advert break, so then I would stop speaking and I'd just wait until the advert break finished, and then I could start speaking once the adverts have finished, so that you don't miss what I'm saying. But the trouble is, these fucking advert breaks keep coming when I'm actually speaking, so you miss the thread of what's actually going on. Now, when you're watching the playbacks afterwards, if you're watching the shows later on, they do pause whilst the advert break is going on, and then they start playing again. So that's great. That's not a problem, because it's like a real advert break. You don't get to miss anything. But when the show is live stream fuck up your live stream with their own adverts. I've had it out with them. I've written to them a couple of times. They say they're looking into it and all this sort of stuff. But I mean, you know, it's a live stream which is totally fucked up basically by the adverts. Now, I'm not very happy with that, but what can you do? Now, there is something you can do, but is whether you want to do this, because you know, this is supposed to be a free service, but Livestream have got a thing whereby you can pay them $9 a month and you can have the adverts removed, but you have to do that. If you do that, I actually get 3 of those dollars, but I have no option. It's not a deal I've signed up for with Livestream. It's just that they want $9, 6 of which they keep and 3 they give to the program producer, and they take the adverts off for that privilege. I never asked for that. I don't want that. I want this to be a free show. But what can you do? So if you want to get rid of the adverts, if you want to watch them, you can actually pay for that. I wouldn't suggest doing it, though, to be honest. It's not really the done thing. The shows are being rebroadcast, not live, but they're being redone up onto YouTube, and they appear there without any advert breaks of any kind. So that's quite good for you. If you wanted to, now I'm not sure what the policy on Livestream is for this, but if you wanted to, there is ad blocking software that you can buy or at least download. I'm not sure, it might be free. Just type into Google, type in Livestream ad blocking. There's software you can install, and it will actually jam the transmissions of the adverts. I don't know whether that works. I don't know whether it'll screw up your machine. Your risk if you decide to do it, but there's another way of doing it if you want to get rid of the adverts. And finally, one thing that has cheered me up this week is I logged on to check out the stats for the program, and Livestream have told me, Livestream stat counting program has said that CirclemakersTV is the most popular paranormal program on Livestream. There are 187 channels to choose from, and CirclemakersTV is the most popular. Hence, if you type in CirclemakersTV as a search into Livestream, we come at the top of the pile. You know, we're the very first one you see. So we are the most popular program on Livestream. I thought that was pretty good. So we must be doing something right, but you know, I wish we could get these adverts sorted out. So I have no way of knowing when the adverts are going to kick in, so you'll just have to bear with us. I'm going to be operating the little console over here, which allows me to speak to you in channel and bring up graphics. But let's have a little look who's in channel, and then we'll go on to the main bollocks, because I wasted 10 minutes on that crap. So we've got 14 users. We've got Andrew Perker. Hello, Andrew. Earthonian, Gonads, Gordy, Hedge Dread, Julian Gibson, Kernow, Monad, Pixie Dread, Plan 9, Roger CCC, Stuart Dyke, Tinkerbell, and Unix. Right, okay. Well, nice to see you all in there. And if anyone wants to tell me how many viewers we've got, because I can't actually look at that myself, but whilst we're broadcasting. Okay. This is the format for tonight's show. I'm going to play some video for you, and we're going to pause the video at every sort of short while intervals, and we're going to discuss what has been just said in the video. Now, the reason I'm doing this is twofold. Firstly, because this video was originally played on Andrew Perker's channel. It is a copyright Andrew Perker video. It's an interview with Andrew BUCKLEY. upshot of it is that Andrew Buckley was sitting in a field one day. Mr. Perker said, "Can I film you?" He was given permission to film him. He did an interview with Andrew Buckley, and therefore had permission to put this up on the Crop Circle site. I think it's called Reporter Crop Circle or something like that, or one of the sites that Mr. Perker actually deals with. Mr. Perker has come to see slightly more down the lines of human circle making being a reality, and decided that what Mr. Buckley was saying was a load of nonsense, which of course it is, but we'll go into that in a minute. And this is not libelous, because this is going to be factual. What we're talking about here tonight will be factual, and it will be addressing points that have been made by Mr. Buckley about myself and about other circle makers, all of which I believe are quite easy to prove as complete nonsense. So we're going to take them one at a time and go for it. So we've got 19 viewers, I think. Excellent, thanks for that. So, Monad says, "Strange, I've only ever had adverts when watching playback, not on live broadcasts." Ooh, interesting. So has anybody this evening had a break-in with adverts on the show? Mind you, we're just coming up to 15 minutes in a short while. So if you get an advert on 15 minutes, what I'll do is I'll set my timer on my watch, so I'll know every 15 minutes to sort of, that you might be just getting into an advert break, which is going to be a pain in the bum, but might make life easier for you to not have it disappear. So you tell me. It says at the beginning of the show, somebody said that was Unix, and then after then, no. Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, just tell me if we have one, and we'll go to that. Give me a second. I'm just going to get my notes over here. Right. Okay. So the first thing is that I'm gonna break you in with this Andrew Buckley stuff by reading you a letter, which is something I printed out off Facebook, and you can't really see it very well, but let's see whether I can focus it in a little bit. But there we go. So, okay. So there you go. There it is. I'm going to read it out to you, but that's the actual letter. So this was one sent to Mr. Perker from Mr. Buckley, and it's basically trying to make out that we're something that we're not. So it says, "I'm writing to you regarding the CirclemakersTV program, which you are advertising on your website and also on Facebook. I should inform you that I have made a formal complaint to Livestream regarding the content of this program, and they intend to investigate the matter further. I also intend to notify the relevant police authorities, since the purpose of this program is to allow airtime to individuals who openly admit to allegedly causing criminal damage and trespass to private property." I like the way he says allegedly, because he wouldn't like to not believe that there are many circle makers out there making circles, you see. So he allegedly, that we are breaking the law. Well, it's either we are or we're not. And if you can prove it, then I'm sure the police will be banging down my door anytime soon. So interesting. The creator and the presenter of the program, Matthew Williams, as you're probably aware, already has a criminal record as a result of being convicted for causing criminal damage to farmers' property in Wiltshire. I should inform you that the police authorities, the National Farmers Union, and the local farmers take this issue very seriously, as the illegal creation of crop circle formations causes a great deal of inconvenience to farm business. What he means there is cash. It means that instead of having £1 million and your Jaguar and your nice new Range Rover to go around the farm in, you might have to just have the Range Rover, and the Jag might have to come, sometime in the future. Yeah, it's terrible the way that the farmers suffer in this area. Goodness. I mean, many of them haven't got swimming pools and tennis courts, and but I mean, they work so hard, don't they? They work so hard pouring chemicals on the land. Anyway, we digress. As a result of my own investigations, I am now working very closely with the above authorities and have a duty to pass on information which may be deemed to be used as intelligence. Well, sorry, intelligence only comes from intelligent people. I think in your case, Andrew, as we'll discuss in a little bit, there's a bit of a problem with the word intelligence there. Successful prosecutions can only be achieved with the cooperation of the police authorities and the local farming community. It is therefore of some concern to note that your websites are providing a platform for certain individuals to openly advertise and discuss their involvement with this illegal activity. I don't see anybody stopping crop circle researchers putting on conferences, lying to the public and making lots of money out of the fact that humans make circles. I'm not, nobody seems to be crying over the fact that they're hoodwinking the public, but people coming forward and saying that they are making crop circles, that's really bad. Anyway, having viewed the initial broadcast, it has become clear that the intentions of these individuals are not least the intentions of these individuals, not least their identities, who are already known to me and are currently being investigated by the authorities mentioned previously. These individuals mistakenly think that attempting to hide their identities will somehow avoid any future criminal prosecution. Okay, we'll come back to that. As a result of our investigations, we intend to name, shame, and reveal the identity of these individuals. For example, Lee and Debbie Woodstock. Ooh, well, I think they were on the show, weren't they, last week? Yeah. Don't think you had anything to do with them giving their details out like that. But there we go. You can always think that, Andy, if you want. You know, you can feel rather important, but here we go. As a result of Dave, he says personal details on file. Okay, so he says Lee and Debbie Woodstock, Dave, but the details are on file. So you don't actually know who Dave is, do you, really? I mean, you're not very good at bluffing, are you, Mr. Buckley? Anyway, who have admitted to me in front of witnesses that they've created many of the crop formations over the last few years. Their statements have been passed on to Wiltshire Police and the National Farmers Union. I would not like to think you are being complicit in allowing your websites, including Report a Crop Circle Formation on Facebook, to allow these individuals, including Williams, to advertise and promote their activities. The same criteria applies, of course, to other websites and individuals who choose to promote the crop circle subject. As I understand it, the police authorities have a remit to investigate any source which may provide a source of valuable information and evidence, enabling them to construct a larger picture. Well, actually, that is wrong. Do you know why that's wrong? Because the police only investigate when they have a complaint. And the only person who can make a complaint is the farmer. The National Farming Union don't make the complaint because it's not going to make any difference. The farmer has to make the complaint and he has to put it in writing. Okay, so there's a little bit of legal sort of wonderment for you, Andy. No, the police are not investigating crop circles. They're not collecting information and they're not about to arrest anyone until a farmer goes on the record and says that he has had a formation on his land. Then, Mr. Buckley, you have to link that formation to a person. Yeah, me, Lee, Debbie, Dave. You have to link that, yeah? And if you can't link that formation to that person, there's no prosecution. Now, how the fuck do you think you're going to do that unless the circle makers actually admit to doing it, yeah? That's not going to be intelligence gathered from you. That's going to be from admissions from the circle makers, yes? That's going to be if the circle makers have said so. So you have got fuck all to do with it. And in fact, without this show, there were no frigging admissions, were there? So you need this fucking show, you idiot. God alive. You know, it's like, I tell you what, we know which circles they've made. We know their names. We've got them on file, and we know which circles they've made. We've got it on file, and we're going to get them arrested because we say so. Because we're working with the police. You aren't working with the police. You're talking to the police. You're not working with the police. The police don't work with the public. Yeah, you talk to the police. They do the investigation. And like I say, I don't think without this show there would actually be anything to investigate. So anyway, one has to seriously question the motives and purpose of these websites when considering the problems they cause in promoting and advertising the crop circle subject. I am not alone in coming to these conclusions, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if further action is taken to alleviate some of these problems in the near future. Ooh, goodness gracious. Well, I don't think they'll be doing anything with me because, like I say, I mean, all my crop circles stopped, back before, when was it, the arrest in 2000, so therefore I haven't really done anything since then, apart from the one, which if you actually watch very carefully these shows, and I'm not going to tell you which one, but if you watch, I did admit to doing one out there, and that was for my mum. Yes, as a memorial for my mum, who lived 20 years in a house, never got out, was crippled like this in bed, and basically could hardly move her arms more than like that. Yeah, and, she basically had a fucking horrible shit existence in pain every day and having to be looked after. And that formation was done for my mum. And quite frankly, Andy, you want to get me arrested for that? Go right fucking ahead. Okay? Just go ahead. You prick. Sorry, I didn't say that, did I? Anyway. I hoped that Livestream will terminate the broadcast of CirclemakersTV. Williams has also been banned from Wikipedia. Yeah, nothing to do with crop circles. Nothing to do with crop circles at all. The reason I was banned from Wikipedia is because I kept on posting truthful information about RAF Rudloe Manor, and the people who work at RAF Rudloe Manor, who got about 20 people working on fucking Wikipedia, actually saw to it that information was continually pushed off, and their official information for RAF Rudloe Manor was put on there so that my information wouldn't be allowed to be there, because they're saying, no, we never did anything, never investigated UFOs, never did anything, no, really boring, nothing of interest at this site, no, boring. And of course, when somebody comes along and goes, here's a government document, RAF Rudloe Manor investigated UFOs, this is in the Public Records Office, want a copy? They're like, fuck off, you can't have that, you can't, no, this man is wrong, he's wrong, get him, ban him. So that's why I say that you shouldn't bother with Wikipedia as an accurate source of information if it's anything serious. If it's something that doesn't really fucking matter in the world, but if it's something pretty serious, you can bet your bottom dollar there are people paid to stop it getting on Wikipedia and fuck off people like me and ban them. Yeah, so that's Wikipedia for you. So it's got nothing to do with crop circles. And being banned from Wikipedia, Christ, I get banned from things on a fucking weekly basis, mate. I'm banned from speaking at crop circle conferences. I'm banned from this. I'm banned from that. I'm banned from fucking everything. You have no idea. So anyway, and I'm hoping the material will be. That's right. Has also been banned from Wikipedia and has had material removed from his YouTube website as a result of highly malicious and libelous nature. Yes. It's true. Andrew Buckley did manage to get my videos, which had his names in them, his name, taken off YouTube. But guess what? Those videos are going to go up on my website, and those videos are going to basically be referenced on YouTube, but without his name, and the people can go and have a look at them on my website. And let's see whether you can get my website taken down. I don't think so, because in addition to the fact that it's not hosted in the UK, and I did that on purpose, the people that actually run the website, the domain can be given across to anybody at any time I wish, and it can be hosted in a different country. So if you want to spend your money actually trying to chase me down for my website, right, if you want to try it and spend all your money, all your precious little pocket money, sir, you're more than welcome to do so, because I will just keep moving it and moving it and moving it. And as you know, with the Pirate Bay, still there, fucking still there, you cannot, I assure you, you cannot get that stopped, okay? So please try. I wish you all the luck in the world, because it would make a great news story, and we'll all be fascinated by the efforts and lengths and money you've spent on getting my website shut down. You can do it with YouTube, because they're quite easy to bend to people's complaints, and you certainly are a fucking complainer. So they bend quite easily. Live stream, I don't know. They might ask me on this specific show, that I shouldn't be saying certain things. But the point is, we got some video footage of you now where you're actually speaking. So, we've got permission to show that. So how are you going to get that pulled down then? That was done as an interview for somebody to put on the net. So therefore, what are you going to say? Well, I don't want it on the net now because I didn't really mean to be on camera speaking to Andrew Perker to be put on the net because no, I didn't mean to after all. Well, we know this is how you actually operate, Andy, because this is how you sell your UFO footage, isn't it? Yeah, the UFO footage of strange things, strange balls of light, you know. It's like you give permission for TV companies to use it, and then you go and ring them up afterwards, and you say, where's my money then? And they say, well, I thought it was free of charge. No. I want my money. Where's my money? I have fucking money. You've shown it on TV now. Where's my money? Yeah, we know that's how you operate, Andy. We know lots and lots of things about you, but we'll come on to those in a second. Okay. Right, let's show some videos. So what is people saying in the channel? Let's just go through some of it and see if anybody's been did a little roast chicken, curry goats. What? Hi everyone, says Tinkerbell. Hello. What else have we got? Start. No, not ever. No, I think they're talking about adverts. It's never happened with me, says Stuart Dyke. Great. Hedgedred says, what a knob jockey. Well, you don't have to watch my show if you don't like what I'm saying. No, I know who you're talking about. Thank you. Right. Who is he? The fucking crop police. Yeah, nice one, Hedgedred. Yeah, I mean, you know, what's the problem? It's like, if it's aliens are making crop circles, it's perfectly fine. You know, aliens are allowed to go out trashing farmers' fields, you know, and aliens have got a perfect right to go in there, damaging crop and causing a menace by the public coming in and causing further damage. If it's aliens are doing it, it's perfectly fine. But if it's humans doing it, then fuck them, arrest them, fucking stop them, take off their television channels, motherfuckers. Yes, okay. So, right, well, I've also got another camera. Oh, look. Oh, I've got another camera pointed. This is normally the guest camera. So I've sort of pointed it at the screen and I've got it. Hello. So I've got my blue screen going. Oh, look, I've got demon eyes as well. That's pretty good. So, yeah. What am I doing? Points. I've got things I always forget to bring up. So, yeah, let's not, before we go to Mr. BUCKLEY's videos, which is going to be great. You know, let's have a little look at the Crop Circle Summer Conferences, I think they're called. Hang on, it's just me pull this up. Oh, it's called the Summer Crop Circle Lectures, yeah. So this is a nice website for the 2010 conference, and some of you were aware I actually went and protested outside this conference in 2009 when Whitley Strieber was there, you know, because he got me arrested and all that, and he was like, you know, he said, it was a long time ago, you're not still on about that to you. It's like, well, you know, never confronted you before in person, and yes, it was a long time ago, but you know what? It still feels like yesterday, motherfucker. Anyway, the point being, this thing, the Crop Circle Summer Conference, just interested to see on. Let me turn my mic up so I can move across. Ooh, it's not very loud. Why is it not loud? Not loud because its fucking batteries have gone off. Bollocks. Hang on, let me get some more batteries for it. Oh, God, all the batteries have gone off for my radio mics. Excellent. Excellent. So, anyway, Crop Circle Conference, Summer Conference thingy. The page called Gallery. If you click on that, and it's you can get to this by www.summerlectures.co.uk, and if you go there onto the gallery, oops, sorry about that. This is going to be awkward because I have to go back and forth now to because my radio mic isn't working. If you go to the gallery and you scroll down, you can see there's lots of photos. Now, if you scroll down to the 2009 section, on the upper right hand corner, I don't know if you can see it, there are two crop circle designs, and let's click on one of them. This one is the hummingbird. It's just coming up. There you go. That's the hummingbird. Now, ooh, it's interesting, isn't it? You know, they're talking about the hummingbird formation, and they're putting it on their 2009 you know, highlights of the conference, and the fact that, you know, their people went to the field and actually were sort of investigating and hunting around and all that sort of stuff. Oh, it looks great, doesn't it? You know, it's a nice formation. But the point being, I seem to remember somebody being on this show not long ago, actually saying they made that. Do you remember? Do you remember hearing that bit? I quite clearly remember somebody saying that they made that formation. So interesting that that would be the case. But let's have a look at this other one. Oh my God! Oh, look, it's the basket weave. The basket weave in the East Field, and that one, I believe, somebody else was on the show talking about having made that one. Oh my God! And yet the summerlectures.co.uk that are doing their conference again this year seem incapable of actually realising that when people have made these things and when they're man-made or not. And yes, you know, promoting on their website, look, you know, that we've taken people out on a crop circle tour. It says, crop circle tour group, relax and explore the basket weave formation, Alton Barnes 2009. Wonderful. I'm sure they enjoyed themselves thoroughly. And yeah, you know, those formations have been discussed on this TV programme as being man-made. So, interesting, isn't it? Yes, I'm sure we could find a few more on that website if we needed to. But anyway, I do actually like Steve, who puts on those conferences, because he's a good photographer. But the upshot of the information given away in those conferences, our surveys say, absolute bullshit that is put across in those conferences. I'm afraid to say they don't have a bloody clue what they're talking about, but there we are. At least it puts bums on seats and makes certain people money. But we won't talk about that, because, you know, being a circle maker, you're not allowed to make any money. You know, no, you bad person. Police. But of course, if you're there hoodwinking the public and putting on conferences and talking out of your sphincter gland, then it's perfectly fine to make money. Yes, absolutely. Why not? Absolutely right. Don't see any problem with that at all. Anyway, there's an interesting idea I had as well. Oh no, I'll do this later, because I break the show up a little bit, because Andy Buckley's going to do your nut after a bit with all this stuff. Right, here he is in all his glory. Then, Mr. Buckley, on. It's 3 parts, and I'm hoping the show doesn't crash by me pushing buttons doing this. But anyway, here's Mr. Buckley. This is number 1, and what I'll do is I'll pause it, and we can come back and forth, and I can talk about it over the top whilst the video is actually paused. So here he is in his full glory, Mr. Andrew Buckley. Okay, let's get it back to the beginning. And
this is Andrew Buckley, a gentleman who states that he witnessed the creation of the formation below the White Horse in Mill Hill. So basically, Andrew's going to run through to how he basically got to know about it and to what he saw.
Okay. Right. Well, I've returned from Glastonbury. There's a conference on there, Crop Circle conference, and this was on Friday, the 23rd July, and I'd gone to Pewsey initially to get something to eat. So I've driven all the way back.
I knew this was going to happen. It had to happen. Let me see what it's going to do then. Is it going to work? It's crashed out already. Oh, God. This is not going to work, is it? Right. I did try this afternoon. I trialed it. I pressed the buttons. You go live, and the whole thing just cocks up. Typical. So let's try again. Oh. Why can't I get any audio? I mean, in my preview window, I've got this thing moving, and it just won't work. Oh God.
This is Andrew Buckley,
Oh,
a
there we go.
gentleman who
Hey, it's working.
he witnessed the creation of the formation below the White Horse in Mill Hill. So basically, Andrew's going to run
I'm
through.
going to take the titles off in case it
he
lightens up
basically
the
got to know
processing.
about it and to what he saw.
Okay. Right, well, I've returned from Glastonbury. There's a conference on there, Crop Circle Conference.
There it goes again.
And this was on Friday, the 23rd July. And I'd gone to Pewsey initially to get something to eat. So I'd driven all the way back from Glastonbury. And then I decided to go and park up in the lay-by which overlooks the Eastfield. It's called Stylish Pit area, and you get a good view of the Eastfield. So there was no other cars there at all, nobody there. I was just sitting there in my car. And about 7:30, and a blue Ford Fiesta drove past quite slowly, and then stopped and reversed and came up alongside me, and a chap got out who I knew, and his name is Malcolm Treacher, and he lives in Pewsey. Now, I've known this guy for probably 4 years, and I know that he's been involved in, well, should we say, certainly been involved in hoaxing formations. Do have evidence of that, and also he runs a meeting.
Oh, here we go. Right, let's press play again. Come on, baby.
In Pewsey every week. It's like a
Look at it. It's a bastard. I can't get the picture to sync up with the audio. Oh well.
kind of meeting on various issues, crop circle issues, conspiracy issues, that kind of thing, at the Royal Oak in Pewsey. And some of the people who attend these meetings are, shall we say, known hoaxers, alleged hoaxers. People like Matthew Williams, Lee Woodstock, his wife Debbie Woodstock, and several other people, Russell Stannard. And Malcolm, he organises the meetings, and in the past he sort of, well, I know several people who are close friends of mine who know Malcolm quite well, better than I do, and in the last couple of years he seems to have changed his viewpoint for some reason towards crop circles. Initially he thought they were all genuine. Now he's convinced they're all basically man-made, hoaxed. This is because some of the people who attend his meetings have told him this, and he claims that he's actually been taken out into the fields with some of these people and has made several formations. Now, as a result, so I'm just putting this into context, and Malcolm knows that I'm against all this. I've basically, know who these people are. I've reported them to the authorities. I've reported them to the police. Farmers, because as far as I'm concerned, these people are a nuisance and they're causing trouble. So, to put it into context, when Malcolm approached me that evening, he was fully aware of all this, and
so this formation appeared below Milk Hill.
Yeah, he came to the car, and he was quite aggressive towards me. And also he was very sort of arrogant. He was calling me names, quite sort of, and made some comment that I was a fruitcake. I was an idiot. I didn't know what I was talking about, and he said, if you stick around for any time longer, you'll see that we're telling the truth. So I said, well, what do you mean by this? And he said, well, he pointed towards the White Horse at Milk Hill, and he said, Saturday night, something's going to happen there. and also other places as well around here.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of said, "Okay, Malcolm, you know, I'm not going to argue with you. You know, you have it your way." And but he was still, you know, kind of insisting that I believed him, and you know, and it's going to happen, and you people are deluded, and he just wouldn't go away. Basically, I was getting a bit, you know, irritated with him. So at that point, he got in his car and drove off towards I presume he was going to the barge. So at that point, I kind of, you know, stuck around for a while, and then I was joined by a lot of Dutch researchers who had been with during the week, and they were going to do a sky watch, and so it's starting to get dark, and you know, there were quite a lot of people there, probably 20 odd people there, and they wanted to know what happened, so I was telling these people. So I suppose you could say that there were witnesses as well. Bert Janssen was there as well, Dutch researcher.
Bert Janssen?
Yeah, because it was his group. He's like taking a group of Dutch people around tour group. So they were with Bert. I've been out with them during the week actually, so I knew these people. So we were talking, and then this guy Malcolm Treacher came back. He'd obviously presumably coming back from the barge, and he pulled in the lay-bar and he walked straight across, and he was virtually saying the same thing to everyone. You know, what was going to happen.
What, you went to the group?
Yeah, to
Okay.
the group. They didn't know who he was. I mean, I had a clue, and I don't think Bert knew him very well. They just thought he was a bit of a complete loony, basically, the way he was talking, and you know, he just got in his car and drove off. So, my view was, well, okay, if he's you know, if it's true, then maybe something is going to happen. But on Saturday evening, I decided to go back to the area, you know, just to sort of do
Curiosity
a kind
type of thing.
watch kind of thing. I started at the silage pit area. I was sort of hanging around there. I parked my car down in Alton Priors because I don't tend to leave my car around if I go out anywhere. I was sort of walking the field, so I had a spotlight with me.
Right, I'm just going to pause this a second. I've got a better idea of way to do this. I'm going to pipe it in from the other machine, and there'll be a bit of frame judder, but at least I can pause it when I want to talk to you without it cocking up. So just hold on a second. There we go. Fade this up. And I think might have to recap a little bit.
It's going to happen, and you people are deluded, and he just wouldn't go away. Basically, I was getting a bit, you know, irritated with him. So at that point, he got in his car and drove off towards I presume he was going to the barge. So at that point, I kind of, you know, stuck around for a while, and then I was joined by a lot of Dutch researchers who had been with during the week, and they were going to do a sky watch, and so it's starting to get dark, and you know, there were quite a lot of people there, probably 20 odd people there, and they wanted to know what happened. So I was telling these people. So I suppose you could say that there were witnesses as well. Bert Janssen was there as well, Dutch researcher.
Bert Janssen?
Yeah, because it was his group. He's like taking a group of Dutch people around tour group. So they were with Bert. I've been out with them during the week actually, so I knew these people. So we were talking, and then this guy Malcolm Treacher came back. He'd obviously presumably coming back from the barge, and he pulled in the lay-bar and he walked straight across, and he was virtually saying the same thing to everyone. You know, what was going to happen, and
What, you went to the group?
yeah, to
Okay.
the group. They didn't know who he was. I mean, I had a clue, and I don't think Bert knew him very well. They just thought he was a bit of a complete loony, basically.
Oh, I just love that. I just love that. It's they thought he was a complete loony. They not Mr. Buckley, of course. No flies on he. Interesting, because I don't know why Mr. Mr. Treacher would actually make statements about things he knows very little about, because I don't believe, because I know Malcolm, and I know who he knows, and I know which circle makers have gone to his meetings in Pewsey, but I know that they're not going to be openly advertising which formations they're going to be doing. So if they knew that he was going to go blabbing his mouth off, do you think that they would go telling him so he could go and tell people like Buckley where formations are going to appear? Do you think they would do that? Because, I mean, you know, Malcolm may even be watching now, but at the end of the day, if that's what he was going to do with information which wasn't necessarily meant to go out there, would circle makers go doing that? Oh, we'll be over there tonight, you know, just come and have a look at us, we'll be up there. Yeah, bring the police, bring your friends, yeah, we'll be up there, no problem. Do you think circle makers would do that? I don't. But anyway, apparently Malcolm is the loony. I am very interested in that, but here we go.
The way he was talking, and you know, he just got in his car and drove off. So my view was, well, okay, if he's you know, if it's true, then maybe something is going to happen. But on Saturday evening, I decided to go back to the area, you know, just to sort of
curiosity type of thing,
watch kind of thing. I started at the silage pit area. I was sort of hanging around there. I parked my car down in Alton Priors because I don't tend to leave my car around if I go out anywhere. I was sort of walking the fields, so I had a spotlight with me, quite a powerful spotlight, and video camera and stuff. And I thought initially I sort of walked around the Eastfield area. And we're talking quite late. I mean, I was there for quite early in the evening actually, but I stayed quite late. Didn't see anything going on. It was very quiet actually. Didn't notice many other people in the area apart from the people up on Nap Hill area. So it seemed fairly quiet. So it would be probably about 12:30. I thought, well, you know, doesn't seem to be anything happening, so I'm going to go back. I'm staying near Devizes, so I walked back down to my car and got in the car, and the route to take, I just go to the crossroads at Alton Priors and then go along the Devizes, Alton Priors Devizes.
Up towards Alton?
Towards Devizes direction, yeah. Through Horton and Bishop
Stanton St Bernard.
Yeah. So I was conscious that he'd also referred to the area near the White Horse, which obviously I hadn't walked around. So as I was driving quite slowly, I had the window down and I was just sort of looking, slowed the car right down, and noticed what appeared to be some very sort of faint blue flashes in the field, which caught my eye. They were quite well into the field, so I thought, sounds strange. So I didn't stop the car initially. I thought, well,
it is a bit strange really, because I don't know of any circle makers who use lights openly like that so they can be spotted. But there you go. Apparently blue lights in the field, you know, circle makers using lights to make a circle. I don't think so.
I'll kind of not draw attention to myself, so I carried on towards Stanton Bernard, and you come to it's like a riding club. It's like a farm track that goes along. And I turned around there and came back. There were several cars going along the road at the time, so I went back to Alton Priors again, parked the car, and decided, well, I'll go and walk along the road. And although, I mean, that it was quite a lot of light around that night. It wasn't completely dark.
The full moon wasn't it?
Well, sort of, but the moon, it was quite cloudy actually. But even with that, you could see quite a little bit of the fields. But as I got across the road and started to walk back towards where I'd seen these, what I thought were lights, and there's a little track that runs along the field, so I decided to walk along that, kind of parallel with the field, and as I got fairly well into the field, I could actually see what appeared to be sort of dark shapes moving in the field.
Well, I'd just like to take an interesting side note on this, is that Buckley claims he was driving along the road and he could see flashes of light in the field, and, you know, this led him to believe that there were people there making a circle. I don't know of anybody that has ever been able to drive past a field, and I've tried many times. I don't know of anybody that's driven past a field and been able to work out that there's somebody in there making a crop circle. The only way that anybody has ever worked out that somebody is in a field making a crop circle is if they go into the field, or if they've got night vision gear, as per Win Keach, but Win Keach doesn't agree that that footage actually shows people in the field when it quite clearly does. There's nobody's ever been able to do this. So I doubt very seriously that driving along the road, Buckley saw this, but that's my personal opinion. So let's go back.
And I got my binoculars. Didn't switch any lights on because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. And
which is why circle makers don't use lights.
20, 30 yards. And it soon became obvious that there were people in the field. There were sort of, I'd say, possibly 5 people at the most. I tried to count them. You could clearly see there were a group of people there, and they were moving around. They appeared to be stomping boards, and you could see them actually working in the field. And they were quite well into the field and quite a bit further away from where I was. But through the binoculars, you could see quite clearly. So I kind of, by that time, you know, we're getting to sort of 1 o'clock, 1:15, say. So I wasn't sure exactly what to do. I thought, well, I've got this bit of spotlight. I thought, well, I could end this now and fire the light at them, and you know. And I thought, well, I wasn't sure about doing that. I don't know. I was thinking of bringing the farm, Tim Carson, but then I thought, well,
yeah, and it's not Tim Carson's land, so there you go. Two factual problems here. He was going to shine a spotlight in to stop the circle makers working. Now that would have given one of 2 responses. They might have stopped working, in which case you would have had a half-finished crop circle, and you would have actually had some proof that you were there and saw this, of which I don't think by the end of this video you're going to actually believe that there is any proof of what you say. You can say it, but there's no proof of it. Much in the same way as you accuse circle makers of claiming they make lots of circles, but they don't prove it. You can't prove this. You cannot prove this. But it could have gone another way. It could have gone another way. Circle makers might have actually come out and done something about you being there. That's the other possibility. So maybe that's a possibility why you didn't actually shine a spotlight. That's if you were there at all. But let's carry on.
Quite late. So really, I just stuck around for an hour and a half, 2 hours,
Sure.
watching them work and getting very tired. And nobody approached me. I mean, I didn't see any other vehicle. There were no signs
So
of any.
were you there till completion?
No, I left probably about 3:30. I got back about 4 o'clock. It takes me about half an hour to get back. So it was about 4 when I got back, so it must have been about 3:30. It's still dark, but I mean, from what I could see, there was a fair amount of activity going on, and a fair amount of the formation had been, you know, you could clearly see it had been completed. And I assumed they'd been there before I arrived, because I'd assumed they got there probably a bit earlier, but there were no sign of any vehicles parked up or hidden away, or I presume whoever they were, they'd been dropped off or walked there. So
interesting point here now. Mr. Buckley says that he decided to go away. He didn't do anything. He left the field and he left the circle makers to carry on. Interesting though, isn't it? When you read what he says in documents like this, we're going to get the circle makers stopped. We're going to get the police. We're going to get them prosecuted. We are going to stop them. We'll stop them. We know who they are. We've got their details. We know where they live. We know all about them. We have files on them. There's intelligence. The police are doing investigations. We will stop you. We will get your live streams taken down. We will get your YouTubes taken down. We will stop you. We will stop you. And when he has the chance to actually do exactly that and stop the circle makers, what does he do? Does he shine his torch? No. Does he leave the field and make a phone call to the police and say, they're up that tram line, mate, go and get them? No, he doesn't. Why doesn't he do either of those things when he's writing letters like this, claiming, you see, claiming that is his intention? Do you think he was there? Or do you think he was not there? Because if this was his intention to stop circle makers, and it's the only chance he's ever had to realise his dream of getting circle makers arrested, circle makers stopped with what they're doing, and what does he do? Nothing. So does it seem likely or unlikely that he was actually there? This is my point. Because he does nothing. So I just put it forward as a possibility that he was not there.
Obviously, you know, it made me think about what Malcolm had said to me, and
Kind of brought it to light, and there it is.
I decided that I'd obviously come back, you know, this morning, and of course when I got there it was like there's coaches and loads of people in there.
Do you find it very convenient that we have three formations and obviously lots of coaches arrive appropriately, conveniently?
I was told I had a text from a couple of friends who are close friends of mine. They live on a boat, and they know Malcolm very well. They had a text from Malcolm this morning, and he basically told them that there was another formation at Roundway that they were responsible for as well. Now I can't speak for that one. I haven't actually been in that.
There's talk of a third one apparently as well.
This is absolute, complete and utter nonsense, if you ask me. There is no way that circle makers are going to go revealing which formations they're making to people that they think are going to go gabbing off, telling people that they're man-made. Yeah, they're not going to do that. Yeah, they might come on CirclemakersTV 6 months later and do it, but they're not going to do that. And do you know why they're not going to do it? Let me explain to you why circle makers would not go and tell somebody that is going to go gab, 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 that they have made formations. It's because they want people to appreciate them for how they are when they've made them. Yes, they go to all that effort. When you've made something, you want people to believe whatever they want to believe. And you want them to investigate it, and you want them to come up with their conclusions as to what these circles are and who made them, whether they're extraterrestrial or something else. You don't want them going in there and going, well, we know it's man-made because we've been tipped off that this one's man-made and that one's man-made and that one and the new one at Roundway and this one under the White Horse, they're all man-made, so we know they're all man-made. Circle makers don't do that. Circle makers do not do this. So I put it to you that there's something wrong with this picture. Yeah, there's something wrong with this picture here of Andy Buckley being in a field, observing people making a crop circle, not calling the police, yes, not calling the police, but telling everybody that he saw it all. So it makes him really important because he knew it all, yeah? But there's something wrong with this picture. It just doesn't make sense. But let's carry on.
On the evening that there'd be several formations. So I wasn't sure what to do this morning. I wasn't sure whether to...
And of course there'll be frigging several formations. That's like saying, this year in Wiltshire there will be about 50 formations. I'm predicting this, okay? So I know something, okay? I reckon there's going to be about 50 formations this summer in Wiltshire, okay? So what does it mean? There's going to be several formations. It means nothing. It's generalist, it's unspecific, it doesn't prove anything.
I was wondering whether one of the farmers might turn up, Tim Carson, or what it was on his land.
Yeah, it's not Tim's land. It's not Tim's land, okay? That formation was not on Tim's land, so get your facts right.
But then I thought, well, shall I go and knock on his door? And then I thought, well, what's the point really? Because obviously he's going to know about this.
Yeah, what's the point? You had the chance to do something that would have made a difference, and you did nothing. You didn't call the police, so what is your point? Yeah, what's the point? Exactly. What is your point?
Quick, yeah.
There was no sign of him putting any money box in the field or anything like that yet. And then it occurred to me whether or not he might have been involved in some way. Whether, because I was chatting to Sue, and she was saying the same thing, that...
Oh, you're just chatting to somebody and they say, yeah, they must have been involved. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it must have been, because, they just must have been involved. Yeah, I mean, this is the logic circuits at work now, right? Okay, they must have been involved. Why? Why must they have been involved? The farmers do not want these circles on their land. They don't want them, yeah? The fact that people put them there, and they put the honesty boxes there to make back some of their money, is to make the best out of a bad job, because they don't want it, yes? They don't want this stuff there, and let me tell you, no farmer has ever commissioned any circle maker to make a circle on their land. Circle makers have, upon occasion, very rarely been able to get farmers to agree to let them have a formation on their land, but it's usually come with a very hefty price tag, or that it has served the farmer's purposes in order to prove that circles are man-made, so that it might stop the circles appearing because everyone will understand the truth. Some farmers have agreed to have crop circles on their land so that people would see it in a documentary program. They would actually see the proof that people are making these things. No farmer has ever commissioned a crop circle, and no farmer has gone into this wanting a formation on their land because they'll make money out of it. Yeah, they don't make much money out of the formations being there. I mean, this is done on an honesty basis. Yes, Tim Carson probably is one of the only farmers who has made a lot of money out of having a crop circle on his land. And as you said, no honesty box there because he can't be asked, because people break into the bloody things anyway. So what exactly would Tim's motive be for having this formation on his land, Andy? Because what were your words? He must have done. He must have done. That's what you said. He must have had a connection. He must have done. Because there's an incentive for him to do it, isn't there? He's going to lose money. He's going to have people traipsing across his land, right? And he's going to have no control over that situation. So therefore, that's a great incentive. So he must have done. Must have. Fucking hell. I'm going to put the video on before I start screaming here.
Apparently Tim Carson drove past several times and didn't bat an eyelid.
Well,
the amount of people that were in his field.
I don't know anything about that, no. But there didn't seem to be any sign of any farmers there, anybody kind of...
It's not Tim's fucking land, that's why.
Worried about it, so... I don't know yet, because I haven't spoken to Tim Carson, but... I mean, that would to me, that would...
It's David Hughes's land. David Hughes, not bloody Tim Carson.
I mean, whether there was some agreement between him and whoever had made the formation. Because I think that's quite important, because if that's the case, then... obviously, they would have had permission to make the formation, so they're not breaking the law or anything. Wouldn't be causing criminal damage.
This is all assumptions. If it was a man-made formation, if it had been legally done, the people that had made it would have come out and said they'd done it at the end because it was a legally man-made formation. The reason nobody has gone and said we did that as a demonstration is because it was not a demonstration. It was a real crop circle made under real conditions. It was illegally made. No farmer was paid. And you don't know what you're talking about. You're just making suppositions. You're making assumptions. You do not have facts. You know, no farmer was paid, and you haven't bothered to even ask because, you know, the point being, you say, well, I didn't bother Tim because I just thought that no point in bothering him. But you're prepared to make statements about him being involved. Yeah, this is the craziness about it. It's like he must have been involved, right? Why must he? Did you ask him? Did you ask Tim Carson? Not that it's his land, but did you go and ask him? No. If you'd gone and asked him, you'd have learned it wasn't his land. Did you ask him? Was he paid? No. But you're stating on a fucking interview video, you're sitting there on the ground going, well, he must have been involved. Why don't you do some research? You don't do research, you make statements. You make statements, you make them up, you pull them out of the air, you fucking make this stuff up, yeah? So you don't investigate, and you're stating as such here. You're actually admitting to it on this tape.
So I think it's important to establish that fact, because
we are.
A lot of the people that I saw this morning were obviously, you know, they were believing the formation was genuine, and I wasn't going around telling people. People were coming up to me, people who knew me, and they were asking me my opinion. And when I explained what I'd experienced, some of them were quite, well, you know, not very happy about it. And some people found it hard to believe. And specifically, I mean, there were a lot of coaches there.
This is what I find quite unusual. I mean, it's rather convenient, rather than obviously if those formations were not there this morning, then what would these coaches do? What would these tools do?
Precisely.
Where would they go? You know, what would they show to these people?
That's right. So it implies, I mean, wasn't some collusion between the people who made it and the.
So it's as if these formations are made to order. Is that what we could be saying?
Well, that's what we could be saying. I mean...
Okay, well, he's not stating it. He's saying we could be saying that. He's not saying I am saying that. We could. So he's guessing, basically. He doesn't know. He's guessing. But the point being, I mean, no circle maker arranges for coach loads of tourists to come to a formation. But the fact is, if they just happen to be next to the East Field, which is, after all, de facto one of the main areas where crop circles appear and has the most people with coach loads of tourists going in them. And do you know why? Because Tim has been good over the years and let people go on his land, you know, and that's been something to do with Polly Carson, who is his wife. You know, they're no longer married, but Polly was very sympathetic towards all of this. Polly used to even believe, and probably still does, that a lot of these crop circles appeared as a message for her. You know, that they were coming on this land because she was receptive to them, and because she was receptive, crop circles would appear, and she wanted people to go on her land. So guess what? A bus company that comes back year after year doing tour guides and tourist stuff, knows which sort of fields he's going to be able to go to and allow people to go into and not have to pay money to go there, and it will be able to be parked next to the field. Where's that field? It's Eastfield. Yeah, he knows he can park there. He knows he's not going to block the road. Yeah, and he knows he can turn round. And he also knows it's not going to cost him any money, and he's not going to piss off the farmer. So therefore, why do you think when a crop circle appears in the East Field or under the White Horse, loads of tourist coaches turn up? It's not because of circle makers, it's because of crop circle researchers. It's because of sites like the Crop Circle Connector, who put information out there so people can go to these sites. Come on! What is wrong with you people? Yeah? I mean, there are people flying over these formations at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah? Right? They've only got to know from the network of people that are out there. Charles Mallet will be in there at 7 in the morning. Where does he find out from? Is he being paid by the circle makers? Are circle makers paying Charles Mallet to get up early and get into that formation? How does he get there that early? Yeah? He reports it on a website. Loads of other researchers are getting there. Loads of these people are then talking on their websites. The thing spirals. By about 9 o'clock, you start to get people from tour companies going, oh, there's a new one in the Eastfield. Oh, we can take the bus there later on. Then that's brand new. People will really like that. Why is that a mystery? Why is that a mystery? Why has this got to be an assumption that the circle makers have in some way tipped people off so they'll get to this formation? It's the friggin' East Field! You know, I mean, it's like if we smashed the sun up into 4 different parts, yeah, and flew them off in different directions, yeah, you would turn round and probably say, well, it must be a conspiracy to make people look in the sky, because why would people look in the sky? Why would they look in the sky? People never look in the sky, but I mean, they must have fucking sorted it out because they're all looking in the sky now, aren't they? The fucking circle makers making them look up in the sky. No, it's because the fucking sun is split into 4 different parts and is going off in 4 different directions, and people happen to be looking in that direction. Goodness gracious, the Eastfield is the main road from Devizes to Pewsey. It's one of the main roads. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. It's not hidden out of the way. It's one of the main fields. Is this a mystery? Anyway, I'm ranting now, sorry. Let's get back to the video. Right, what have we got? It gets better.
I went to Glastonbury, I went to the Crop Circle conference, and I spoke to quite a few people there, and I got the same impression. Now, what was interesting was that some of the people who I know attend meetings, I mean, I know these people quite well, I mean, I've actually spoken to them, were involved in some aspects of the conference in Glastonbury. And I spoke to several people, and I got the impression that they weren't too happy that I was making the connection between these people and crop circles.
Well, of course they aren't.
They were obviously promoting the idea that the crops... Well, it's a bit difficult to say. I mean, Andy Thomas, he presents the conference, and he was... to be honest with you, the conference seems to have moved away from crop circles anyway, you know. But he was kind of saying, intimating, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they're genuine or not. It doesn't matter whether they're hoaxed. It doesn't matter whether they're, it's irrelevant. And I personally don't agree with that. I find it's very, to me, my own personal opinion, I think it's important.
Of course, it's important. And
to establish,
do you want to just kind of reassure people out there that the phenomena is actually real? It's just basically what's happened is that man is obviously mimicking and fulfilling the order books, perhaps, if we can put it in that sort of term.
I've seen enough formations in my time to know that a lot of them, well, a great many of them, I don't find any evidence that they've been made by, hoaxes in the way that I've had to experience this formation.
Well, unless you actually see somebody making them, there is no evidence that they're made by hoaxers. Unless somebody comes on a TV program like this and actually says, well, I made it, there's no evidence, is there? I mean, we all know that the testing procedures are wrong for how you tell a crop circle real from, so-called, man-made hoaxed. But anyway.
The other night, so... And also, I mean, I've done a lot of research myself, and also have colleagues who have film formations appearing. I mean, I was very involved in the 2007 formation.
Here we go.
And I know the chap who, Winston Keach, I'm a good friend of Wynn's, and we spent a lot of time and money and effort on researching that.
Hang on, did he say we? Hang on, I want to rewind this, hang on.
Winston Keach, I'm a good friend of Wynn's, and we spent a lot of time and money and effort on...
I think he said we.
Researching that.
Let's try that again.
Formation in the Eastfield.
Yeah.
And I know the chap who, Winston Keach, I'm a good friend of Wynn's, and we spent a lot of time and money and effort.
He said we. He said we spent a lot of time and effort. We spent a lot of time and effort, i.e. him and Win Keach. So he is saying that he had something to do with filming the Eastfield footage, which didn't show people making a crop circle, but in fact did show people making a crop circle, because not only did I analyse the footage and turn the contrast up, which was not hard, by the way. I mean, this was not like rocket science or anything. This was just me tweaking it up in Photoshop, and you could see the formation appearing. You could see people making the formation. Last week on the show, We even had Terry Toffness, and he said that he believed that Circle Makers were making the formations now. He made that bold step of actually being honest, and I know for a fact that when the footage of the 777 formation came out, that Terry was one of the people that was very excited by it, and he thought, wow, this is great stuff. Now, albeit he hadn't managed, from my understanding, because I did speak to him about this briefly, my understanding was that he hadn't had the chance to see it on a good quality television screen. He'd just seen it on a laptop because it had been edited and handed round on LCD screens on laptops. Nobody had actually sat down on a very large high-def screen and turned the brightness up and seen what was there. So nobody really knew that actually what they were touting around and telling the world and calling press conferences over, was in fact footage which quite clearly showed that there were people making a formation in that field. So it's almost, we'll have to put this down to being a mistake, won't we? Because we can't say that they were deceiving people with this. There was obviously a mistake was made. They simply didn't know that the footage contained the visual evidence that people were making the formation. But the funny thing is that even though it was found out that that footage contained footage, it contained the visual images of people making the formation, even though it was there, these people wouldn't change their minds. Now Terry did. Terry was honest, and Terry said, actually, I can see it. I can see the people making it. Thank you for pointing that out. That's great. Terry was one of the only ones that did that. Mr. Buckley here, no, not interested. Mr. Keach, the guy whose footage it is, I do understand. I don't know if this is correct, but I do understand that afterwards, much later on down the line, when Mr. Keach realised that this footage wasn't actually what he thought it was, that somebody bought it off him. And I heard that it was Mr. Buckley and paid an awful lot of money, like an awful lot of money for this footage, which quite clearly shows people making a crop circle in the East Field. But anyway, we digress. I certainly wouldn't have spent money on it if it was showing people, but there you go.
That formation, having the footage analysed, we can say without a shadow of a doubt there's no evidence of any people involved.
No evidence.
Yeah, the very same people.
They had it analysed. He says
were present on Saturday night claim to have made that formation.
Yeah, they were on this show.
Claiming and doing is two different. Yeah.
And I interviewed them. At the Barge Inn. Now I can't say categorically.
Let's stop him there. It's a very important point. He says, I interviewed them at the Barge Inn. The people who claim to make that formation, I interviewed them at the Barge Inn. Well, I'm sorry to say, Andy, you didn't interview anybody. The Circle Makers approached you because they wanted to basically say that you were very out of order for stating that Paul Obi, who committed suicide, you said that he was murdered. Okay? The Circle Makers approached you and said, what the fuck do you think you're talking about? You've got no right to say that. You're out of order. You don't even know Paul, yeah? And why are you spreading nasty rumours like that? That's a person's life you're talking about there, yeah? He ended his life. It was his decision, yeah? And he left a note. We all knew that it was in his nature to be doing this sort of thing because he tried to do it many times in the past, and we're talking many times in the past. And what do you think you're doing, Mr. Buckley, saying that Paul Obi was murdered because of crop circles, yeah? What the hell do you think you're doing? So Mr. Buckley was ticked off by the Circle Makers for that and a number of other things that had been said, and it did not form an interview. Yes, it was not an interview. It was Circle Makers talking to you, telling you why you were out of order. That is not an interview, because an interview is something where you invite people to come and give you their opinions. You didn't invite them. They came and told you why you were wrong. That's not an interview in my books.
These people were last night, but I just find it too much of a coincidence that the chap who approached me, Malcolm, is the chap who knows these people, and he organises the meetings at the Royal Oak where they all attend. And he did tell me, he said, we will be present, we will be doing this, we are going to show these people. So to me, he was more or less admitting that not that he is necessarily responsible, but he had something to do with it, and he knew the people who were involved.
So what do you think the hoaxers are actually doing it for their own pleasure, or is it for some financial reward?
Well, I think there may be several reasons. I think, there may be evidence that if some of the conference organisers are involved, who run coach tours and are involved in the rest of it, sort of, may have some involvement in this.
In what way?
And that's a possibility. And
They do have involvement in it. They make money out of it. They send the tours people out, and they charge money. Michael Glickman's got people coming over this year. He's charging them $2 or $3 grand to come and come to a couple of crop circles and hear him speak and have a cup of coffee at his house or something. Yeah, they're the ones making the money out of this. Circle makers don't make a cent out of this. The circle makers are penniless because of this subject, and there's a lot of them are not even able to work this year because they're so penniless they cannot afford to literally be making crop circles because they need a job, they need work, because they've given too much to the subject. The only people who are making money out of this are the tourist bus companies, and somebody online has said it's £1,600 per person, so thanks for that. I might have exaggerated a little bit there, but £1,600 per person for basically being given a tour of a couple of crop circles and told basically that they can't be made by people. Wonderful, and that's 1,600 quid, per person. If you get 10 of those, that's 16 grand, which is for a couple and he might be running more than one set of tours in the summer, I don't know. And I mean, maybe not even declaring the tax on that. I wouldn't imagine they did, to be perfectly honest, but knowing the types of people they are, but that's a presumption on my behalf. But I would imagine that this is money straight in the back pocket. They're the ones making the money. I mean, there's always been this claim. You see, I mean, I'm just answering your point, Andy. There's always been this claim that there is some collusion between Circle's researchers and the circle makers. Of course, right? I don't think there is any doubt that on some occasions circle makers have made sure that certain researchers do know that formations are there, because they want to make sure that people are going to take the photos of them, before the farmer might get in there and shave it out, which means that no photos will be had. Yes? So there is no doubt at all that this is the case. But what you must bear in mind is that the circle makers are only passing that information on so that other people can go and do the work of photographing them and go and make their money and do whatever they do and sell their T-shirts, and that's other people. Circle makers don't have any connection with these crop circle researchers. I mean, you've only got to listen to the way that these circles researchers slag off the circle makers to realise that there's no way the circles researchers are going to be giving money to circle makers. They're not going to be giving money and promoting that because they don't really get on. They don't like circle makers. They slag circle makers off. So why would they go then paying them money? Why? I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway.
Part of that, But also I think there's a deeper issue, and I think this problem has been with us for a long time. I just put it under the heading of disinformation. Sure. And I think if you go back, to Doug and Dave, you've got a variety of people who claim to have been circle makers, and my own research, not only mine but other, suggests that there's a lot of disinformation here, and this came out with the July the 7th formation 2007 Eastville, because they were very, very, very unhappy that I was putting this report out about this report about formation. They're very unhappy about that.
No, they weren't very unhappy about it at all. What they were unhappy about is what was contained in the report, which was nonsense. They weren't unhappy about you talking about the fact that the 777 formation was man-made, or that people had claimed to have made it. They weren't unhappy about that. What they were unhappy about was the fact that you were saying things that were not correct, and you'd been given the truth, and you'd been given the information, you'd been told face to face by the people who'd made that formation that they made that formation. Yes. Why didn't you put that in the report? Yeah. No, you had to create all this other stuff about me working for the Ministry of Defence and me doing this and they did this and they are threatening you, and you had to beef it up with stuff, yeah, that was not true and nobody had ever said. So that's the problem that the Circle Makers actually had, was why you felt the need to do that. And basically, let's carry on. We'll come back to this MOD stuff because he actually talks about it later on. So
I've heard that you've actually received threats as well.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
I received threats from Malcolm Treacher on
so, I mean, to what level have these people sort of threatened you?
Short of physical violence, Matthew Williams, who I do know is a big part of this disinformation campaign, he's tried to discredit me.
Oh, God. I think you do a good job of it yourself.
I've had to take legal action to remove some of the stuff that he's put on.
He's had to take legal action. I've never seen any evidence of this legal action, right? I've never seen any evidence whatsoever that he's been to the police. I've never seen any evidence that he's got a solicitor involved, because I've never been contacted by a solicitor. You know, and when people do legal things and make legal action and cease and desist, he could do a cease and desist. There's no reason why Andy Buckley could not do a cease and desist. It's really simple, yeah? It's really simple. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but you can do a cease and desist order, yeah? And then I will get something through the post that says you are not allowed to do this, and we're going to take you to court if you do. And then I would be invited to come to court to answer why I feel I have the right to do it, if I feel I have the right to do it. Otherwise, I should cease and desist, yes? Cease and desist order? I've never had one, yeah? Libel? Everybody knows libel costs an absolute fortune to go to court, and you don't really make any money. The only people who ever make money out of it is the solicitors. Everyone knows that. So you're not going to take on a libel case over this, yeah? And the point is, if you're going to take on a libel case, you have to take on a libel case if you know you're fucking right. And we can prove, yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit more about why you are making this shit up, yeah, that you are wrong. So we are not libeling you. We are stating that you are wrong. Okay? And there's a difference between libel and being wrong. Okay? So, I've never had the police on my back. I've never had solicitors on my back. And the only thing you've actually managed to do is get videos taken off YouTube. And YouTube do that because they just don't want the hassle. Yeah? Because they get enough trouble with Warner Media Group and bloody Universal and Paramount and all these people that own the copyright on various music and videos. Yeah? So basically now YouTube's policy is if we get a complaint and the person is screaming and shouting loud enough, we just take it off. Yeah? We just take it off. It's just a lot easier. We just get rid of it. Yeah? So that's YouTube. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that you've actually mounted a legal campaign or done anything of the sort. You've just written to fucking YouTube, yeah? So the point being, I haven't seen any evidence that you've written to Livestream or got anything of that nature taken up with Livestream. As I say, I'm the #1 paranormal fucking program on Livestream. So if you want to deal with it, I'm sure they'll be taking it fairly seriously, considering I am actually the top show on Livestream for the paranormal. So they're going to look into what you're saying, and this is why I'm doing the video like this, because it's your words, Andy. I'm not lying about you or putting words in your mouth, yeah? This is you speaking. And we're going to hear you say some very interesting things in a minute that basically can be proven 100% to be a complete load of nonsense. So,
just about other people. Very, very defamatory and libelous stuff that he's put on.
Defamatory and libelous, yeah, right. Boo fucking who.
What seemed to precipitate this was the bringing out of this report on
yes.
the 2007 formation, because he did mention it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it was very, very...
Writing nonsense.
He was just literally trying to ruin my reputation.
You do that yourself, mate.
I've since had this material removed.
Well, that's weird, isn't it? Because he says he's had this material removed, but I've actually published his 777 report as a reprisal so that people can read the nonsense that he's fucking talking, yeah? They can read this nonsense for themselves because he didn't want that going out. So I've published it on my website. Now, if Mr. Buckley was in fact mounting legal campaigns to get this stuff taken down, it wouldn't be on my website, would it? It would be gone. It'd be gone, and it's on my website, and it's staying on my website. And let's see whether he can actually get it taken off. I don't think he can. I don't think he stands a sod's hope in hell of getting this taken down, because I will just give the website to somebody from another country, and then it will not be my responsibility anymore. So let's see whether you can do it. Yeah? Okay, let's see whether you can get it taken down. Because the point is, Andy, you have a responsibility. If you write something, yeah, that is wrong, you are responsible for that, okay? So you talk about defamation. What about you defaming me, yes? Defamation, libelous stuff. What about what you've written in the fucking report, yeah? You wrote that I'm an MOD government agent, yeah? We'll come to this in a second. You wrote that, yeah? Why is that not defamatory to me? Why is that not libelous to me? You don't see me taking up legal challenges in order to get you to fucking stop. I just deal with it the way that most people would deal with it. I deal with it in an open debate, and that's what this TV channel is about, yeah? You write stuff, I debate it on this TV program, yeah? You're sitting there speaking it now, yeah? So don't complain. If you're going to go out in the public arena, out in the public domain, telling people what they must think and what they must believe based on your imagination, not on fact, yeah? Do not fucking complain when me and other people pull you up on it, okay? Ha ha ha, indeed. Well done, Tristan. Ha ha. It's fucking funny, isn't it? Because, this guy can't take a fucking... he can't stomach the taste of his own medicine. That's the problem here. Yes?
He's aimed his this kind of stuff at a lot of other researchers, Lucy Pringle,
when they deserve it.
Glickman,
yes, definitely deserves it.
Anybody who seems to promote the idea that there might be something, I don't want to say necessarily extraterrestrial, something on you.
Yeah, and then we've got to go on to the next video, which I shall do in a second, so because this is split up into 3 parts. So I have to thank Andrew Perker for giving us permission to show this video, because it really does help people understand what's going on with this subject. So, right, I don't know where this is, if this has jumped or if there's an edit or if this is a natural thing. We'll just see now where it goes on. So
that runs along the field. So I decided to walk along that kind of parallel with the field, and as I got fairly well into the field, I could actually see what appeared to be sort of dark shapes moving in the field. And I got my binoculars. Didn't switch any lights on because I didn't want to draw attention to myself.
I think this is an edit or something.
And I'd walked for 20-30 yards, and it soon became obvious.
Let me fast forward.
There may be evidence that if some of the conference organisers are involved,
we've had this
material removed. Everybody knows what he's not. He's aimed his this kind of stuff at a lot of other researchers, Lucy Pringle and Michael Glickman, anybody who seems to promote the idea that there might be something, I don't want to say necessarily extraterrestrial.
That's where it finishes. I'm going to have to go on to part 3 then. So basically, of course I'm going to attack with evidence and my opinion based on fact. People like Michael Glickman and Lucy Pringle literally don't know, shit from Shinola. So the point is, of course I'm going to take it up with these people because they don't know the truth. So here we go.
He seems to get very, very angry. Certainly when I interviewed these people
interviewed
regarding the 2007. I was there with 3 other friends of mine, and we all received pretty strong threats from these people.
No, I think you received pretty strong fucking language from these people. You know, that you should shut the fuck up about things you don't know anything about. I think that was the basic line of what was said is, you know, stop saying that people like Paul Obi were murdered by the government. Yeah, fucking wanker. Yeah, how dare you say that? That would have been the level of what people were saying to you. They wouldn't have been saying, we're going to come and get you, or fucking you say any of this again and we will fucking have you, because that's not how these people operate, yeah? That's not how these circle makers operate, yeah? And in fact, you wouldn't find anybody more peaceable than Lee and Debbie that you were chatting to in the pub. Yeah, I was there, but I kept away because I just thought, well, you know, if I stand near him, he'll start freaking out, because Mr. Buckley is very much the victim in a lot of this stuff. You know, like he said, I was threatened by Malcolm. Malcolm threatened me. I don't think Malcolm would have threatened him. Malcolm probably got quite animated, rose his voice, and said, "You don't know what you're fucking talking." Well, he's not Scottish. How the fuck do you do fucking Geordie accent? You know, you don't know what you're talking about, or whatever. Anyway, that's a shit accent. But anyway, he's in a Geordie accent. He's like, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. So, you know, and in order to back that up, he probably did say there's going to be some circles appearing in this area soon. Yeah. But I doubt very much whether he would have specified where these would have been, because for fuck's sake, I mean, that's inviting the vampire in your fucking house, isn't it? You are going to get your neck bit. Yeah, I mean, there's no way Malcolm is going to go telling somebody where a circle was going to appear. That's if he knew. So anyway,
threatened that if we tried to expose them, whoever they were, then, you know, we'd be in serious trouble. So yeah, I mean, that's a threat. I've been threatened. I've been followed. I've had, you know, when I've been down here,
Prove it.
I've kind of received sort of threats from lots of these people.
Yeah, lots of these people.
In recent times, since the report came out, and since I contacted...
I've just got to stop this here, because I know for a fact that Andrew Buckley is one of the only people who over the years has been saying that he is consistently being threatened. You know, this was before I even came on the scene and started, like, you know, doing my CirclemakersTV and this sort of stuff. You know, Andy Buckley is always being threatened. He's always being harassed by somebody, some government agency. You know, he's always getting helicopters hovering over him, you know, dropping powders into crop circles. He always manages to see mutilated animals in crop circles, but his camera never works. It always manages to break, or the film is all fogged, and this is part of the conspiracy. So Andrew has never managed to prove that anyone has ever been following him. It's all just verbal, okay? It's all just out of Andrew's mouth. And, you know, there's no proof. He's never photographed somebody threatening him. He's never secretly tape recorded somebody threatening him. He's never come out with any photographs of this mutilated animal stuff that he's gone on about, yeah? There's no proof, yeah? He's desperate, you know? He's desperate to have that proof, but he hasn't got it. You know, it's literally, you have to listen to what he says and take his word on it, which is okay, fair enough. I know we get accused of the same thing, being circle makers, but you must take his word on all of this. You must take his word that Malcolm told him that a circle was going to be made up on the hill. You must take his word that he actually walked up the tram lines and saw the people making it. You must take his word that he has then been threatened. You know, you must take his word that all of these things have happened. Bollocks.
To the police. I thought it was that serious. I actually spoke to the police about it.
You actually spoke to the police
about these people.
And how did the police respond to this? Did they...
Well, they took it very seriously, and also the National Farmers Union, and I've become quite involved in NFU over the last 2 years. I do know their position now in the crop circles. They explained it to me early on this year, and they did tell me that this year there would be a very, very high-profile surveillance.
Really?
Over in the Wiltshire area, specifically Wiltshire, involving the police and farmers.
Yeah, right.
They were taking it very seriously.
Well, I seem to now. I've got to be careful here because this could go into the ranges of libel. Okay, so let's just put it like this. Okay, what I'm now saying, I'm not trying to imply in any way, shape, or form that what I'm just about to say applies to Mr. Buckley. Okay, I'm not here talking about Mr. Buckley. I'm talking about somebody else. Okay, but there was somebody dressed as a police officer, wandering round crop formations, telling people that they were a police officer and asking them whether they knew who was making the crop circles. Now, some people recognised who this person was. Some people recognised who it was. I can't tell you who it was, okay, because this could be considered libelous, okay, but this person was approached and told that he had been seen dressed as a police officer, and what the fuck was he doing being dressed as a police officer when he is not a police officer, right? Wandering around crop formations, trying to get information out of members of the public as to did they know who the circle makers were. Now, the point was that a lot of the people already knew who the circle makers were. Mr. Buckley, has already mentioned some names of people that he knew were circle makers because they told him they were, yes? But this aside, this information about going out as a police officer was rather embarrassing. The person involved should be ashamed of themselves. And as I say, I'm not in any way, shape or form, no, I am not implying that this was Andrew Buckley, okay? I'm not implying that in any way, shape or form because I would hate to have somebody do a cease and desist on a libel point because of that. So I'm not in any way, shape or form implying that Andrew Buckley had anything to do with a person dressing up as a police officer entering crop circles. So I think we understand each other now, okay? We all understand I'm very clear on this point, okay? It's not Andy Buckley, okay? So we're clear on this now. As if that wasn't bad enough, there was a person, last year, a person was actually going to the farmers, ringing them up and sending death threats via the mail and ringing them up and leaving messages saying, if you shave that formation out of the field, you will be killed. Yeah? Now, it's a strange thing, I think, that there is nobody, I don't think I've ever met anybody. Colin Andrews has never had death threats against him, and he was a big crop circle researcher. He's going for years, wasn't he? And, Busty Taylor, telling people that crop circles are made by aliens. Never had any death threats. Never. I mean, you got loads of researchers. I mean, I was a crop circle researcher for many years. I was telling people, that it was all weird and, being a bit tongue-in-cheek with that, but telling people that it was all paranormal and great and stuff, when I wasn't known as a circle maker. Do you know what? I never had any death threats. I never had any threats of any kind to me in any way. In fact, I found the police quite interested in the subject and quite happy to have a chat about crop circles, and I found most people to be quite nice. It's funny though, isn't it? Andy Buckley has a lot of threats. A lot of threats made to Andy Buckley. Andy must be on some sort of super duper truth train, He's got some super angle on this subject that nobody else has got. Nobody else has ever come close to the truth that Andy's got, because Andy's being threatened all the time. Andy's being threatened all the time. Somebody's got it in for Andy. They're after him. They can't leave him alone. They're threatening him. Yeah? You've heard him say it. He's always getting threats. Threats from from official sources, threats from, people who meet him. He's always being threatened. Well, I'm just going to say this. I think it's weird that last year farmers were being threatened, and yet the only real people out there complaining of being threatened, as apart from the farmers, was Andy Buckley. As you hear, he was being threatened. So the farmers are being threatened, and Andy Buckley's being threatened. Farmers are being threatened, and Andy Buckley's being threatened. Okay? Who's doing it? Who's doing that? Who's doing that? I'm scratching my head. Who's... Andy Buckley's being threatened. Farmers are being threatened. Who's doing that? Who would do something like that? Who would it be? Any guesses, anybody? I have no idea. Now that's not it's definitely not me. It's not my it's not my fucking style, yeah? It's not my style to be wasting my time on people like Andy. And why would a circle maker want to threaten farmers in that way? You know, why would the circle makers do that? Yeah, I mean, and circle makers have never been spotted dressed up as policemen in fields. You know, so I just put it to you that there must be an answer somewhere in all of that. There must be an answer to this mystery of who is crazy enough to dress up as a policeman. Who would be crazy enough to do that? Who would be crazy enough to say that they're being threatened all the time when in fact they're not? And who would be crazy enough to be threatening farmers? Who would be crazy enough to do something like that? We continue.
I've had a lot of complaints from farmers.
Is this why you think that the veil of Pusey's been kind of untouched up until now?
Well, I'm not like... I mean, whatever conclusion you come to, I don't know, but I do know that they have been taking it very seriously. I mean, I spoke to a chap called Ian Johnson. He's the one of the sort of chairman of the NFU, and I had quite a long conversation with him, and he explained that certainly the police were involved. I've spoken to the crime unit in Devices about it. They have all the names, they have all the details of these people. And they have done, I mean, they have had for quite a while, but for some reason no action seems to have been taken. And I've always been a bit sort of, well, kind of confused as to why, knowing that they know who these people are, why hasn't more action been taken? Is it because there's some kind of, if there's a disinformation process going on, maybe they're allowed to do this, you see.
Well, nobody's stopping you doing it, are they?
There's no secret about Matthew Williams. You know, he's obviously got a criminal record. You know, he was apparently, allegedly the only guy convicted for making... Well, he was convicted, but I think there was more to that incident than the official view.
What?
I've done a lot of background research into Matthew Williams.
Really?
Who I've known for quite a long time.
You've known me for a long...
He worked for the MOD, he's got an MOD background.
Here you go. Now you got it.
That was one of his...
I worked for the MOD. I have an MOD background. Let's just rewind that, just to be clear. Okay, right? He knows me very well. He has known me for a long time. Okay? And he knows that I've got an MOD background. Do you know what? Mr. Buckley does not know me very well. He might have known about me for a very long time, but he does not know me very well. And he does not know that I've got an MOD background because I do not have an MOD background. Okay? Sounds very interesting and very clever, but it's not true. Let's just see what he's got to say to back this up then.
He's got an MOD background. But of course, that was one of his main criticisms of me, that he accused me of calling him a government agent, which I didn't actually call him a government agent. All I did in this report was to lay out the facts about his background, his personal background.
I didn't read any.
But I mean, these people are...
I didn't read any facts. Have any of you guys read the report, the 777 report? Have any of you people read anything that proves that I am MOD? Anybody? Can you put it in channel? You know, just pick me up where I, you know, because I'm having real trouble understanding where this proof is, where these facts are. Okay? I mean, I'm just going to run through this very quickly with you, just so you understand, and you can check this out if you want to. If anybody wants to do some background research on little old moi, okay, here it is. Because I've said it many times, but it doesn't seem to, just doesn't seem to stick for some people, okay? I was born in Cardiff in 1971, okay? I moved, when was it? We moved about age 5. So 1976 to Barry, okay, where I attended the Romley Junior School, and then I went on to the Barry Boys Comprehensive. It was a separated thing, you know, sort of boys in one school, girls in the other. I was a little rebel. I probably wouldn't have been allowed to have sat any exams because I was such a little lunatic, okay? My parents were quite concerned that I wasn't going to be able to sit any exams, so we moved back to the Rhondda Valley. Rhondda Valley is where my grandparents are from, and we moved back up there to get me back into a different school so that I'd have a chance of being able to sit some exams. Okay, I started to do well. I started to knuckle down a little bit and started doing some exams, but I'd lost a number of years through illness when I was about 8 to chickenpox. I was 8 months off school. Then I had a car crash which fucked up my jaw, and I was off for about 8 months again. So I lost a couple of years of schooling. So that, coupled with the fact that I was just a little lunatic anyway, meant that I had to do a few years catching up. I didn't do that well in school. I got a few exams. I came out probably in about 1989, something like that, with one A level, about 5 or 6 GCSEs, some of which weren't all that good. Oops, is that better? I've got some crackling going on my ears. Oh no, it's gone now. Okay, it must have been a loose connection. So anyway, I came out of school with a few. Still doing it. What the hell's going on? Perhaps it's just these headphones have decided to pack in. Right, and then I basically went to working in a garage which was known as the Action Petrol Garage, which was owned by a guy called Donald Humphreys, who was an entrepreneur from Cardiff. Action Garages, if you want to check them out. There's one on the Pentre Hill. That's spelled Pentre, and I worked there for a couple of years, and I also took up a job working as a projectionist in the Muni Arts Centre, which is in Pontypridd. Okay, I don't know where this noise is coming from. I'll have to check out the wires or something, but I'm getting something in my ear. Anyway, I went to be a projectionist for a couple of years whilst I was trying to get into the civil service. I was applying for possibly the police force and possibly the civil service. In the end, I got a job working in the training and development unit of the civil service, and basically I was there for about 5 years. So no, maybe I came out of school in about 1985, and I was there in customs access for about 5 years because I got sacked in 1991, so that would be about right. Yeah, so I've got to correct myself there. Anyway, I worked in the training and development unit. That was basically hooking up video cameras, setting up video projectors and stuff like that. God, this bloody ear thing is going nuts. Hang on. So there's something going wrong with my mixer, or it's my headphones. But the training and development unit, then I went to work in the personnel management unit for about 3 years, and then I went to criminal investigations, which is on floor 6 of Portcullis House in Cardiff. They've now relocated to work in the Inland Revenue building in the tax office in Clinician in Cardiff. I worked with a guy called Mike Baker, who's the brother of Colin Baker, who was Doctor Who. Remember TV Doctor Who? His brother. I worked with him in the personnel management unit. I worked with Andrea King in the criminal investigation unit, and I worked with a number of other people. Eventually I went down to being part-time because the job was doing my nut. I went down to being part-time, and I worked in the debt management unit, and that's where eventually I was stitched up and sacked from the job. At that time, when I was stitched up and sacked from the job, I went to the crop circles in Wiltshire, and I was a UFO investigator behind the scenes. This is why I got stitched up and sacked from the job. And I just basically carried on my UFO research and went to Wiltshire, where I was spending my time living in a car on the hill. Now, everybody knows my timeline of my birth right the way through. There's never been any time at all during that I've ever had an opportunity to be working for the Ministry of Defence. It's just a non-starter. You know, there is no time when I have had to be conscripted or join up and work for the Ministry of Defence, because there is my timeline. You know, my schooling, right through my jobs. Those are all the jobs I've ever had. Okay. Right up to when I spend the time in the fields of the crop circles. And everybody can account for my time because I was living there on the fucking hill, not in some bloody military training camp. So the point is here, where exactly do I have my MOD background? Where do I work for the Ministry of Defence? Is he implying that because I worked for Customs and Excise, that actually that was not really Customs and Excise, and it was in fact the Ministry of Defence? I think Mike Baker, my boss, Andrea King, you could speak to Tony Beer if he's still there. Tony Beer moved to Barry Customs. You know, you could speak to him. Ask them, is this... Oh, Christ, what is going on with this fucking mic? Oh, God, there's some dodgy wires there. That's better again. It's gone now. I think I've got some dodgy wires in the mic. Sorry about that. There we are. So go and speak to these people and find out exactly my timeline, yeah, and find out whether or not they think that they were working for the Ministry of Defence when in fact they were working for Customs and Excise, because I don't think any of these people actually... Jesus, sorry about this. It's not working out very well, this. Oh, dear. Right, any better? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starting to really crackle out in my ear, but there we are. Right, seems to be okay for a second. Could be these headphones. Maybe I've blown the speaker in my headphones. It's quite likely. Is anybody hearing this crackling that I've got in my ear? Or is it just me? It's very loud. Sorry. Okay, it's very loud. Let me just turn that down a little bit then. There we go. So I don't think there's any real mystery as to my life and my upbringing and my jobs. And you can go and research that stuff, but there's definitely no evidence whatsoever. So what are people talking about in the channel here? There seems to be some sort of some sort of thing going on here. Right. Somebody says MI6. Well, the point is that if you are... Oh, Christ, this microphone is... Is it just this microphone? No, it's the headphones. It's doing it on both microphones now. It must be these headphones are fucked. Oh, dear. That'll be running over the headphones with the cable, probably. Hasn't done them any good. Oh, dear. So, right. Anyway, so there's no evidence at all, I think, that... right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It stops. See, it works then, and then it just comes back again. So let me just... Sorry about this, folks. Hang on. Just wiggle the connections until they stop fucking up. Right. 1, 2, 1, 2. There. Sounds fine now. Sorry about that. If it's blowing your... Yeah, anyway, right. Somebody said best move on. Yes. Good idea. Sounds fine here. It must be my headphones. Okay then, right. Anyway, so yeah, I think there's no real debate on this. It's just a matter of fact. If you need proof of where I've worked, I can put you in touch with the people at the places that I worked, if you're actually interested in finding out the facts. But I don't think you are. So anyway, here we go.
The people who are at the centre of this, let's say. So.
There are reports coming in as well that there are many alias names used in the industry at the same time. What are your opinions on that? What do you feel? Why is that? Why are people afraid of disclosing something or being obviously part of this phenomenon that they don't want to be a part of in some way?
Well, I'm not really aware of many alias names. I don't know whether you know more than I do about this. Most of the people I've dealt with, I presume it's the real names. There are some people who don't use their, obviously, some of the people I've interviewed, for various reasons. So, I mean, I get the impression that the police are interested in them also for other reasons as well, not just the crop circle. There are other issues that they've mentioned to me, and the NFU mentioned as well.
Like what?
But
I mean, crop formations are theoretically regarded as illegal art, and
well, yeah.
So by taking images and selling those images, and to sort of obviously making people believe that those images are actually created by the real phenomena, that is quite a deceitful act on their behalf. Would you not agree?
I agree. I agree. I mean, I've no problem. I mean, I'm an artist myself, and I mean, you know, I kind of involved in art for that's my career. You know, I mean, in fact, I know quite a lot about land art. I studied land art when I was doing my degree, and I know quite a bit about it. And a lot of what I know doesn't tally with what some of these guys are saying. You know, about it being land art. I don't kind of really buy that idea.
So do you?
But I agree with you. Yeah, if they're honest, if they were saying, look, okay, you know, we're doing this, we've got permission off the farmers, or we haven't, we're doing this anyway, and they explain their motives why they were doing it, and some of the people who are researching this were honest as well.
Sure.
So it wouldn't make me very. I mean, I'd still think, well, you know, there's a genuine phenomenon out there, and I don't think there has to be a reason why we're getting all this other stuff coming out.
But if it was actually announced that, obviously, if a crop formation was not verified as a natural phenomenon, do you think would not be fair? So it would be fair for a researcher or a photographer to say this image is possibly a fake, and to give the people the option to make up their own mind, to actually give that warning, if you like, to actually give people advice, rather than sort of obviously pushing that image onto them and to say, look, this is real, this you know, and point blank is real. And when some of the formations we've seen this year are blatantly so terrible. And they're quite visible or so.
That's a bit of an interesting statement. I think I found out where the wire is broken now, but yeah, interesting statement that the work that we're involved in, or we have been involved in, or I'm not really involved in now, but many circle makers are, is not land art. I mean, come on. I mean, what the fuck else is it? You know, it's land art because it's in the land and it's art. That's land art. Oh no, it's not fucking land art by my bloody standards, because I'm an artist. Well, do you know, Andy, I haven't seen any of your work, mate. I'm sorry to put it in blunt terms, but I haven't seen any of your work. I think about the only type of art that you've kind of shown that you are kind of good at is taking the piss, basically. So if you're a piss artist, then you know, and these statements at the crop circles are no good. There were loads of crap ones out there. You know, it's like, hang on a minute, that's a subjective statement. It's not, you know, there's nothing proven about that. That's just an opinion. And art is all about opinions. I mean, you know, sorry, Andy, if you're listening, but I mean, at the end of the day, and I'm saying to Andy Perker now, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's all subjective. I mean, when you would have believed that crop circles were real and extraterrestrial, you probably wouldn't have let anybody tell you that they were crap. You would have said they're wonderful and great, and what were people on about, yeah? That once you've come to the conclusion that people are making them, then you start saying, well, hang on a minute, you know, these are not very good. You know, they were all crap last year. There were loads of crap ones, you know? And it's like, but the point is, people don't appreciate that they only start seeing with this new pair of eyes, they only start seeing with this new kind of focus once they understand that the circles are made by people, then they start becoming critical. They start going, hang on a minute, these are not very good anymore. We don't like these anymore. These are made by people. And they start seeing it with that new pair of eyes. But until you have that new pair of eyes, the circles are just as good as they always were. So, let's be serious about this. I see this a lot. I've seen it over the years. It's just personal opinions. It's not proof. There's no proof and there's no objectivity, as a standard, as a set standard that you can kind of say, well, this is good against bad. Here's the scale, and this is good against bad, because what is one person's good will be bad for another person. So the scales don't exist. There's no, what is good art? Some might like Van Gogh, and some may say, well, it looks to me like a load of splashy old crap, and you can't really see what's going on. And then somebody will say, well, I like Lowry paintings, and then another person will say, well, hang on a minute, it's just a bunch of stick men. Anyone could draw that. That's, it's like, at the end of the day, it's art. It is art, and it's open to interpretation, and that's exactly what's going on here. So for people to say it's not land art, and at the same time claiming that people are making money out of this, well, yeah, who's making money out of it? It's not the circle makers, it's the circle's researchers. So there's no deceptive quality in terms of circle makers have never made people believe that it's extraterrestrial or anything other than what it is, which is circles in a field. Yeah, it's the circle's researchers have convinced everybody that it's aliens and convinced everybody that it's some sort of weird force of plasma or energy, and they're the ones that are actually telling people, give us your money for this weird belief. We'll tell you it's aliens, give us your money. Yeah. Now, where do circle makers come into that? They simply provide the art. That's not the circle maker's fault. Okay, that does not equate to me as being anything to do with circle makers. That is circles researchers, and even people like yourself and Andrew Buckley, who go around telling people that humans cannot make these circles. So don't blame the circle makers for what is in fact the fault of researchers.
And yet those formations are then passed down as real, and I have witnessed personally myself where people have taken evidence, or let's say bent stems, etc., from one formation and taken into the one which has been declared as a man-made, and they tried to make it out that actually found those particular plants within that formation. So it's
nothing surprises me where this is concerned. But I mean, I was an artist. I mean, if I produce a piece
you
of
want to show it off.
artwork, I assume it's a genuine piece of artwork. I mean, I wouldn't want to pass it off as being a fake or being a. I'll be perfectly honest about the fact I produced it and all the rest. But with this thing, it's almost as if it's almost like a silent. It's almost like it is a kind of conspiracy that a lot of researchers, I won't mention any names, but if you approach them on this issue, they won't discuss it. I mean,
No,
I've tried to clarify the matter with people.
Do you think
you come up against this sort of wall of silence.
So do you think the current researchers, again not mentioning names, are actually researching to the level where
I'm in the process.
A report is produced about every single formation?
I think one of the reasons that a lot of them seem to be viewing me with a bit of notoriety is I am naming names. You see, I mean the report that I
understand, Andrew, that you've got no gain from this whatsoever.
No.
Okay.
No gain. I mean, none of this. In fact, it's costing me quite a lot of money. I mean, I don't make any money out of this at all. It's not. I don't. I mean, I'm nothing against people making money. I mean, I'm an artist. I make. You've got to survive. You've got to live. But it's the honesty part of it that worries me.
Sure.
I mean, if they were. There's something I just find something very, very unacceptable about going in a formation and seeing a lot of people that have come, they've come from all over the world. They like to think the formation's genuine, and you get it's the issue that if the people who are promoting these groups these visits know full well that the formation is a hoax, and they're going and promoting it as genuine. To me, that is deception.
I have heard that this afternoon, yes.
And I'm really opposed to that. I mean, I'm not sounding as I'm on some crusade, because I'm not. I'm doing this for my own personal, satisfaction.
Sure.
And all I'm trying to do is to get to the truth, to find out what's really going on. And I think the truth is actually more complicated than just a simple, is it genuine, is it a hoax? It is more complex than that. It's more complex. And it's not just the crop circle phenomenon. We're talking about other aspects. We're talking about UFOs, talking about associated phenomena.
I'll just interject by here. Somebody has just said as well that Tinkerbell says that he tells everyone that he's local and he lives in Wiltshire, but he only spends 2 weeks a year there. I don't know if that's correct, but, and Roger CCC just says, isn't the word hoax boring and meaningless? I'd agree with that, actually, yes. I think the word hoax is boring. We don't use the word hoax. I mean, we sometimes will accidentally refer to ourselves as being accused of being hoaxers, but we don't like to try and use that word because it implies that we're acknowledging there's weight in it. That we kind of acknowledge that we are fooling people, that we're out to fool people. But I don't think it's fair with what Mr. Buckley has said here, because, it implies that our intention is to go out and fool people. No, I don't think any circle maker has ever really wanted to go and fool people. They simply want to observe people's reactions to what they create. So circle makers don't make people believe that the crop circles are alien, and they don't want people to kind of be upset by finding out that it's people. The fact is that as a circle maker, once I became open about the fact that I make circles, most people actually seemed sensible enough, and I say you have to be careful with this. Some people you can't discuss this with because you can see they're going to get too emotional about it, so you have to hold back. But most people who are not insane and can take what you're about to tell them, I normally tell them that I'm a circle maker. I say I make circles, and I'm not being dishonest with them. I'm telling them what I've done, and if they're not heavily invested in the crop circle subject, I'll even tell them which circles I've made, But I don't do that with many people involved in crop circle research, because they'll get the hump over it, and they'll start saying, well, Matt Williams said this, and Matt Williams said that. Now, I didn't used to do that, but if you notice, last year, I actually admitted to every formation I did. Every single formation that I made, I admitted to. Now, there are many other circle makers out there, right, who would like to do that. Yes? They'd like to do it, but they don't really want to be prosecuted like I was. They don't really want to have that negative attention of the illegal aspect of what they do, because what they believe they do is create nice art forms which a lot of people get a lot of excitement out of, and certainly a lot of people are making a lot of money out of. Yes, but the circle makers aren't. What they want is for their art to be appreciated, and they're not lying to people about being circle makers. They're telling the truth. They are circle makers. They're not hoaxers. They're not out there wanting people to be fooled. People fool themselves. People come up with the idea that these things are made by aliens themselves. The researchers help them with that belief. It's not circle makers saying, no, there's no way that people could make that. There's no way that could be made by people. That's definitely a weird one. It's like circle makers don't do that. Circle makers say, yeah, that could be made by people. Yeah, that could be done. That's what circle makers have been trying to do. And I think that suggestions that we are fooling people is wrong. It's the researchers, really. It's the researchers are doing all of this. It's not the circle makers. The circle makers have been quite approachable over the years. If they're not approachable, it's because they've been abused in some way by researchers who've said nasty things about them or tried to imply that we're horrible people. And they do this. Andy Buckley on this video just stated that he has witnessed himself Okay, I mean, I don't know whether I should take this seriously because, I mean, and I'm saying don't take some of the other things he said seriously, but if we just take this as an example, right, and Andrew Perker was kind of going, yeah, I kind of agree with, I've seen some of this going on, I think he said. It's kind of like saying, I saw somebody take samples out of one formation that they were saying was real, that it was a real formation, and putting them into what people were saying was a man-made formation, and saying, look, those samples came from the man-made formation, so obviously the man-made formation is real and really good. Yes, so that's deceptive. That is deceptive. Okay, I don't think anybody's in disagreement there. Okay, I agree with it. You're saying it. Okay, that's deceptive. But why are circle makers aren't doing that? Circle makers aren't making the researchers go out and do that in order to prove their point. And this is what has been happening with circle researchers towards circle makers. They've actually made up a load of stories over the years about how circle makers are dark people and you don't want to go near them because they'll do nasty things to you, and, saying things, Andrew Buckley was saying in this video, you've seen it, I have been threatened, Malcolm threatened me, circle makers threatened me, government people are threatening me, they're all threatening me. I'm not doing that. Who's doing that? Nobody's doing that. It's not true. And it's exactly as not true as, me being accused of going into the barge inn and threatening Tom Blower, for instance, who used to be a good friend of mine. Yeah, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But the point was that there were some people who were very upset that I'd come out as being a circle maker. And because I'd come out as being a circle maker and saying that I was now making circles, people felt so incensed that they had to find ways to demonize. They had to find a way to demonize. And they couldn't do it just by saying, well, go and speak to Matt and see what you think. Yeah, they had to say, don't go and speak to Matt. Don't go and speak to him. Stay away from him because he's really bad. And that works, you see. That works. People will go, oh yeah, I'll stay away from him then. He's got nothing to tell you and he's a really nasty person and he'll attack you, And it's like, well, that's what people do. That's human nature. It's a very sad part of human nature, but that's what people do. In order to get sympathy for their point, they make up stories. I think we've seen some rather interesting tales being told tonight about threats and it's all to make people seem a lot more important than they actually are. That's the bottom line. Mr. Buckley wants to be seen as important. Mr. Buckley wants people to follow him around and go, oh, what's this latest thing you've got then? The photos. And he goes, yes, photos, but I can't show you. Oh, now the photos have disappeared. Oh, I've been threatened. Oh, it was probably government agents that come and stole them or something like that. It's all these stories that get made up. I've got no time for this at all. This is not what circle making is about. And in fact, this detracts from the fact that circle makers have been trying to do a lot of work over the years, speaking to people like Mr. Buckley and speaking to the researchers, only to have themselves slapped down and told to go away. And, these stories about the circle maker threatened me, like Janet Ossabard saying, I offered her, did she want to see my stomper boards because I had them in the boot of my car? And she said, no. And I said, are you sure? Because, they're just here. If you want to see the stomper boards, that these are what we use. And she said, no, I don't want to. And then she went and told people. She went back and told people that I had tried to force her to look at the stomper boards in the back of my car. Force her. This sounds like I said in my YouTube videos, it sounds like I grabbed her by the back of the neck and, and literally I'm pushing her head into the boot of my car. You will look at my stomper boards, bitch. You fucking look at my stomper boards now, otherwise I'll fucking knife you. It's like, it's so crazy. It's so fucking crazy how things can be totally distorted out of all proportion. This is why when I go up to Linda Moulton Howe and say, Linda, I'd like to have a chat with you, and she turns around and gets her umbrella and she starts whacking me with her fucking umbrella and she's like, you get away from me, you fucking get away. And it's like, hang on a minute. It's like, where does all this shit come from? Yeah, where does all this shit come from? You try and help people, you try and tell them the truth, you're constantly told that you're lying, you're constantly told that you're a bastard and all these sorts of things, and people make up stories about you. Mr. Buckley is a storyteller as far as I'm concerned. He does it because he feels it's necessary to do it in order to help the subject of crop circles. In his own way, he is telling these stories because it helps the subject. That's what I personally think. Whether there's any truth in any of it, you have to do the research. But I can guarantee you, I ain't ever worked for the fucking MOD. Not my fucking style. So here we go. Anyway, let's go back to the thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Sure.
It's a complex issue, really.
Okay. Well, Andrew.
But anyway.
No. I think it's. I certainly value your time, and certainly very, very grateful for what you have just to have mentioned. I think it's highly important that the people out there do actually sort of know what is going on here.
Sure.
And the more people like yourself, if they would come forward, then perhaps we will actually get to some kind of happy solution, perhaps, which would satisfy the public and the researchers and everybody alike. So maybe just possibly, we'll hopefully sort of have more people like you come forward.
Well, I hope so. Well,
Andrew, I'm very, very,
thanks.
Very, very grateful for your time, and thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
No problem. You're welcome.
And the rest is history. So, publish and be damned, they say. I think that's the statement, isn't it? Publish and be damned. Yes, so that's what I'm doing there. Publishing and disassembling so people can understand. Because I think as well, if you don't have these things explained, you can sit there and watch somebody like Mr. Buckley. You can sit there and you can watch them and you can think, oh, this sounds quite reasonable. Sounds like a sort of quietly spoken sort of person. What's his why would he lie about something like that? Why would he distort, or is he wrong? Is he wrong? Why would he kind of say something if it wasn't correct? Why would he do that? Why? So, Crop Dolly's asking where Agent S is this evening. Well, I did a boo-boo because I said I'm going to do the show tonight. I think Agent S interpreted that as I'm doing the show, so therefore I don't need you. That isn't quite what I meant, but that's what it was interpreted as. So Agent S is now, she's downstairs watching TV. She said, "Do you need me really?" And I said, "Well, no." I should have said yes, because it sounds a bit rude, doesn't it, when you actually say no. "Do you need me?" And I said, "No, it's all right. I can probably manage on my own." And, I didn't want to sort of hassle her. So she's downstairs watching. She's probably slyly watching the fucking stream, which is naughty, because then if she's watching the stream and she hasn't come up here to help me, then yeah. But anyway, because I do need a bit of help, because I've got the chat channel and I can't concentrate on what's going on in the chat channel. But anyway, no, I did say to her, "No, you're okay. I can manage on my own." So that's where she is. She's watching TV downstairs. Night off. Anyway, so I don't know what. Crop Dolly says Ossabard has got a huge stake in the paranormal origin of crop circles. Well, a lot of people do, don't they? They have got a lot of money and time and credibility because of their position. It's not telling people that it's actually people that are doing it. And if the truth comes out that it is in fact people, then there's not going to be a reason to sell the books, and there's not going to be a reason to do the research, and there's not going to be any reason to invite these people to give lectures. So it's definitely in their interest to not sort of tell this the way it is. Some researchers have decided to tell the truth, but unfortunately, I don't think they're really in the greater number. Those researchers, there's certainly a few out there. Andrew Perker, for instance, who did this interview that we saw tonight. Andrew Perker's come on board. We've had Colin Andrews has come on board and said, I believe. We had Terry Toffness last week came on, and I believe he might even still be in the chat channel watching the show. Can't see him at the moment, so he might be lurking outside the chat channel, but he certainly was watching it earlier on, and I think he tunes into these shows. So basically you've got a lot of researchers who could stand to lose a lot by telling it the way it is. I think that people like Andrew Buckley, they may feel well-intentioned by what they're doing with these claims that they're out, being threatened and harassed, and that people are, trying to manipulate them. Not really. I do insist on my right to reply. And this is where BUCKLEY has got upset and all these, sort of claims that he's, had to take out legal action, which I've seen no evidence. I don't think there is really any circle maker who gives a fuck apart from me about Andy Buckley. I don't think there's anybody who really gives a toss. I'm the only one. I mean, I'm the one who always mentions it. It's like even Lee and Debbie. I mean, they kind of, it's not the main topic of conversation when we meet is, Andy Buckley and what he said in the 777 report. I mean, it's something they've dealt with, it's they just get on with it. The reason I'm like a dog with a bone is because, when I have my right of reply and I put my right of reply on YouTube, then Andy Buckley sees it fit to have that taken off. So that is unfortunately censorship as far as I'm concerned. Then I am being limited from what I can say. And that's why I do this whole thing like this. I make a whole show dedicated to it, because anyone who tries to stifle me saying the truth, they're obviously batting for the other side, and that may just be researchers, maybe batting for the researcher side. And I do not wish to submit to being told I cannot tell my story the way I know it to be the truth by somebody who doesn't know me, by somebody who doesn't actually know the facts, who makes statements about me working for the MOD when I've never even come close to wanting to work for a stupid bunch of people who like killing other people and definitely shouldn't be in charge of large, nuclear weapons and stuff like that. People who think that killing is cool, killing is good, war is good for business, people like that. No, I would never work for a bunch of people like that. I think they're a bunch of fucking wankers. And even though I had Nick Pope on the show, I mean, I got to say that I think the military are basically fucking wankers. Yeah, and I'm sorry that that might rub people in the military up the wrong way. I have people that I know, even to this day. Like I know a commander of a military base. I actually know, but I keep my opinions to myself because I don't want to offend him. But basically, it's like I know him, and I don't like what he was part of. I don't really think it's the way you should be living your life. It's kind of like training to go and kill people and then dropping bombs on them, from a distance. It's not a cool thing to do. So, I'm not MOD. I'm not fucking MOD. Military intelligence, you could second from the civil service into military intelligence if you wanted to. Do you think, realistically, they would have somebody like me, right, with a complete fucking anarchistical, take the piss out of the job type attitude, got a background in, UFOs and doing UFO research and looking into government documents and revealing this sort of stuff. Do you think they're really going to get me in MI5 or MI6 where I'm going to have access to these frigging documents that I could just tap in on the computer and call up the documents, start having a look at them? Ooh, what's he done then? Oh, let's get the background information on this guy. Oh, I can sneak that out into the UFO community. I can start sneaking them documents and information about UFOs and that. Do you think they're going to let me in that sort of job? Come on. I used to run a magazine called Truth Seekers Review, yeah? We were putting information in there that was very embarrassing to the government. Do you think I'm going to work for MI5 or MI6? Do you think they'd have me? They sent people round, like to Robin Cole, a UFO researcher in Gloucester. They sent special branch officers to find out whether I was a terrorist, because they didn't understand why I was publishing the things I was publishing in my magazine. They thought that, us getting into military bases and jumping over the fences and taking photos and publishing them in a magazine was tantamount to fucking terrorism. Yeah, they had to investigate what my motives were. And it's probably the reason I got the sack from the civil service, because they just didn't know whether I could be trusted. They didn't know whether it was safe to have me there, because I would reveal things and I would be using my position to get information about people and things and passing it outside the department. They didn't trust me. Yeah? Christ. Anyway, anyway, let's have a little look at what people are writing in the channel. So if anybody wants to Skype in, they're more than welcome. We've got a little bit of time left, and Yeah, I'm 006 and a half, says Julian Gibson. Yeah. Well, no, not 006, 666.6. That's what you should. Yeah, that'll be my secret agent number. not 006. 6.5 is 6.5. It would be 6.6. So yeah. Which is all. Which, if you round it up, is in fact 007. So thanks for the compliment. But yeah. He says, Unix says he's too much of a baby to Skype in. Oh, go on! You've got to live a little. I mean, Christ, how many viewers have we got on the channel? Usually, we've only got about 50 people, and I think somebody said it was about 19 or 20 tonight. So we're going downhill slightly. I'm going to have to delete some of the shows off live stream because I'm running up to the maximum space that I can actually have free to keep those shows on there. But they will go across onto YouTube, where they can be watched hopefully forever. I'll obviously work with the less controversial shows. I'll take those across to YouTube, and I will duplicate the controversial shows on YouTube and live stream, so that if there's any danger that they could disappear, there's one and the other. So yeah. And the thing with live stream is that you can't download the programs. It's not easy to do. But with YouTube, if you want to, you can actually go to a site called keepvid.com, which is www.keepvid, K-E-E-P, keep, V-I-D, vid, keepvid.com, and you can copy and paste the YouTube link that you've got in your top bar. You can copy and paste that into the Keepvid thing, and you can press download, and it will allow you to download the show, all of it, 3 hours, the whole lot, down onto your hard drive. And then you can use software, which you may have on your PC, to actually convert that so it's writable as a DVD. So you can convert it, or you could put it on your iPad or something, watch it on your iPad without having to be connected to the net. So there are ways of getting this show off so that you can have your own copy. And I don't mind people copying this program as long as they don't charge money for it. So as long as it's free of charge, go ahead. Anyway, so anybody got any questions, if you have, or any points, if you want to make them in capital letters for Matt, so that I can understand that that's what you're trying to get across to me. So, Unix says, go to Porton Down. Yeah, it's a dangerous place. I actually know somebody who's an animal activist who says he got into Porton Down and he got in underground as well. And they don't talk about underground, but everybody says, well, there has to be an underground at Porton Down. I don't know if there is or there isn't, but I know an animal activist who really is a proper animal activist. And he said he got in underground at Porton Down and he wasn't challenged, which in a strange way surprises me and doesn't surprise me because, they don't expect anybody to be able to get in. So there's not that many people down there guarding the place because they just don't expect anyone to be able to get in. So the fact that you could get in and move around, yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of military bases where, you can jump over the fence and maneuver around and, they won't know you're there for a long time. So that's interesting. That is rubbish, Tristan. Is Nazi pasty? What the hell are they on about? I have no idea. Where is Tristan from? What? There's this big thing. Everyone's going on about this Tristan guy tonight in channel. So what's the big deal with Tristan then? They've been going like, how dare you say this, Tristan, and Tristan and all this sort of stuff. So he's being nasty, is he, or something? Well, everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome in the chat room. Somebody saying that Andrew Perker should not take any notice of Mr. Tristan. So I don't know. But I mean, the point is, we're all adults and, this is not, we don't need a headmaster telling us that we should or shouldn't be saying certain things, which is why I don't see why I shouldn't actually have shown this video tonight of Mr. Buckley, because I think it's all about discussion and debate. Nobody has an absolute monopoly on the truth. So it says there was a sick remark, Matt. So look at his comment, but I've got to scroll up through all these comments, you see, and I don't know which one was the offensive one. So if you want to copy and paste it, it's going to make it a lot easier because I've got 2 hours of things I have to scroll back through to see what it is. But I'll certainly talk about it if it's interesting and if it's not that sort of off topic. So Genial says, "I am an adult with a childish mind." Yes, I know that one. I like to think of myself, in a similar sort of sense, because I mean, growing old, God, who wants to? At the end of the day. Unix says it was a good video, so I'm glad you enjoyed that. So Natalix says, "Sorry I'm a bit late, Matt. So got any plans we can join you for this summer?" Do I know you? If I do, then there's a possibility you could go out with somebody this summer, but I don't make circles anymore, so I would have to kind of see who you are and yeah. So it says, "Julian, you don't miss anything. Way below the belt," somebody says. And Natalix says, "Yes, you do know me. Not about making crop circles." Okay, so well, if we can get you out there with a team who might be making, and you want to give a hand, if you're somebody I know, you're more than welcome. I can put you in touch with some people, and hopefully. So I think we're probably about ready to wrap up. I haven't got much else to say. I think. Sonia says check Skype. Hang on. I shall do that now. Ooh, yeah, I can see the comments that people have made. Yeah, that did look a little bit. Okay, well, yeah, I probably won't mention that because it's a little bit extreme. But yeah. Oh well. Anyway, I mean, are people always serious with what they say, and in what context? Because I don't exactly know what was said, but yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah. I mean, it's good that we get people on here. I'm pro the idea of people coming on here, even if they want to have a go at me or anybody who's on, in the guest seat. Come on and say your piece. I mean, the point is, we don't want to just hear "fuck you, you wanker, fuck off, die." That's pretty pathetic. But if you've got a point to make, even if you make it with swear words and you're making a point, I don't actually mind people being on here on this program and discussing it. It seems to me like the way to go really is, okay, we've got emotions. We all get a bit emotional. I was ranting a little bit earlier on, but the point is, we're adults. We can take it. This is not an area for people that I would consider to be less than 18 years of age anyway, really, with the types of things that are discussed. So yeah. So everybody says they're okay. So right, well, I'm pretty much ready to wrap things up. I don't think there's much else apart from hang on, my sheet of ideas, which I forgot to read out. I was thinking that possibly one way of getting to make a crop circle, this was an idea that came to me when I was driving around in the car, would be to have a competition, but it would be whoever wins the competition in order to get out and see a crop circle being made, would in fact be the one creating the crop circle, not us. Okay, and what we'd have to do is you'd say that the winners actually get taught how not to make a crop circle. Okay, so the circle makers would be there and basically try and encourage the person not to make the crop circle. Okay, and they would say, do not make this crop circle because it is illegal. Okay, and if I were you, I would not hold this tape out now at 36 meters and scribe it, because if you did that, then that would be really bad. And as the person then goes out and does that, obviously because they're a really bad person, then the circle maker could say, now really, I think you definitely shouldn't put 6 posts in around the edge. And from a point of plausible deniability, if anything was ever revealed about making the circle, and that the people were there, the circle maker could say, well, I did try and stop them. I told them not to do it. I told them exactly what they shouldn't do, and they decided to do it. So if anybody wanted to win a competition where they could go out and learn how not to make a crop circle, perhaps we could run a competition like that. So let me know in channel if you think that's a good or a bad idea. But at least it keeps the circle makers safe for a change. And this might allow people to come out and then plausible deniability. So what else have we got? YouTube uploads, audio, video matches. Oh yeah, this is quite interesting. I've uploaded stuff onto YouTube and had it automatically rejected because of the systems they've got in place, which look out for the audio track and then compare it with audio from companies like EMI, Warner, Sony, who've got music that they own. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Because it's like that Spotify thing, you know, where you can hold your mobile phone up in a nightclub, and whatever the track is that's playing, it will go through the mobile phone and it will listen to it, and then it will look it up and it'll go, it's this track, and it will tell you who the artist is and what the name of the track is. So, you know, you've got this system. So I can understand that with audio, because audio can be broken down into kind of like a fingerprint, I suppose. But the thing is, I couldn't believe that one of my videos was rejected off YouTube because it claimed that I had copyright footage in it. And I thought, what? Copyright footage? You know, I don't use copyrighted footage because I don't want to get my shit pulled off YouTube. So I thought, well, what is it? So I was looking through the video, and as it was one of the CirclemakersTV programs, and as I was looking through it, I was like, well, there is no copyrighted footage in here. There's nothing in here that makes any sense. So I went to the site of the person who owned apparently the clip that I had nicked the copyright of. They hadn't complained. This person hadn't complained. This is an automated process on YouTube. Anyway, I went and looked through a few of their videos, and about video 25, I noticed that they had the background, which is like the background you see back here. Let's just point you to it. It was this one. It was this blue swirly background, yeah? It was this blue swirly background, and that was actually being detected by YouTube, and it appears in somebody else's video as well. So they had uploaded their video a year ago, and I've only just uploaded my video. So YouTube automatically queried the fact that I had a piece of footage that was in somebody else's video. And I had to explain myself, and I had to say, well, actually, it's royalty-free, copyright-free video. Well, you know, it's copyright, but it's royalty-free, so you can use it for nothing. And it comes from this website, and it's free. You know, and it's a loop, so it's basically a loop that you can play in the background. I've got a stack of these bloody things. I'll just show you a couple more of them now, so you can see. But you know, there we are. Feck arse booze tits girls footage at 5. You know, and I've got all these bits of footage, and what's happening is YouTube is able to determine that these pieces of footage, which are just basically royalty-free loops, are actually coming up and bouncing my videos. You know. And I just downloaded a stack of them that were free for use on the channel. But here's the point, and this is what I find quite interesting, is that YouTube can actually detect that this video stuff is there. I mean, when you think about the processing power that's actually required in order to look at a video and process it and then compare it against hundreds of thousands of hours, you know, of videos which have been uploaded onto YouTube, and it can compare the whole of my 3-hour show against hundreds of thousands of hours worth of video and compare the two, matching them up together and going, copyright, and then bouncing my video. The processing power that is required to do that must be absolutely fucking phenomenal. And that has to happen for every single video that's uploaded onto YouTube, has to be compared to every other video on YouTube for this to happen. Where's the computers that do that? I don't know of any computing power that is capable of doing that. And to me, it smacks of something like along the lines of the Echelon system, which is capable of listening to millions of phone calls an hour and picking out the word terrorist from a phone call conversation out of millions of phone conversations. Well, this has got to be some sort of secret technology, because this is way ahead of anything that's in the public domain. You know, I don't know how Google have got their hands on it, but maybe because of the copyright issues that are involved, maybe the American government has said, look, you know, hang on, we'll just give you a little bit of a little bit of a processor technology here that we don't allow the public to have, and they're letting them run this stuff on Google. But I don't know of any company that has come forward to say that they make software that does this video analysis. I don't know of any company that's offering the software for audio analysis of this nature. And I don't know of any company that's providing echelon-style systems that are capable of listening to million phone calls an hour. You know, where's the companies that do this? If anybody knows who this company is that produces this software that does this, I'd be really interested to know, because I think this is quite an interesting story. I mean, just how much power does it take in order to do this? How many videos can it watch an hour to compare your video against their videos? Is it watching them as video, or is it converting them into an algorithm or something that's like a fingerprint that represents the whole video? And how does that work? How does that work? And how much processing power does it require? I'm just interested, because I'm thinking to myself, this is like face recognition technology. You know, have they got this stuff where they can literally look at a video camera and, you know, make out a face out of 1,000 faces, even if that person is slightly obscured? Maybe they have half their face showing, and it goes, well, we don't need the whole face, we just need this bit. Because let's face it, my videos actually have these clips running in the background. So I'm doing stuff over the top like this, and then I put the background in the back like that. So there's lots of stuff to obscure the image. You know, there's lots of stuff there to actually kind of get in the way of an analysis and process, because the red background there is in the background. Yeah, and yet this system is still able, with all this clutter and crap that's going on and all the movement and all the speaking, it's still able to go, this bit up here is copyright. I recognize that. I know what that is. Yeah? Now that's got to be some fucking special stuff. That to me is, I don't know, that smacks of artificial intelligence even, you know. This is powerful shit that we don't know about. I'm just interested to know what it is. Anybody got any information on that? I'd be really interested to know, so let me know. So somebody says, Sonia says, shocking, isn't it? Yes, that comment in the channel, yeah, a little bit naughty. But some people are like that, you know, they kind of, you know, they do get their sort of, they do get their sort of awe out when it comes to the crop circle subject. I mean, for example, was it Chet Snow? Not Chet Snow, or oh god, he was on a video, crop circle researcher, and he said it's not Chet Snow, it's, oh god, you probably remember, it was, and he says, I would like nothing better than to take a baseball bat to Rob Irving's head. And this was an interview he did on a crop circle video, and this is a researcher, crop circle researcher, and he says, yes, there's nothing better I would like to do, I think, than take a baseball bat to Rob Irving's head. And it's like, hang on a minute, you know, aren't crop circles supposed to be about love, light and harmony? And this guy is going like, you know, I want to bat somebody's head in with a baseball bat because he's a circle maker. I mean, you know, oh god. So anyway, yes. Sonia was saying she was referring to YouTube. Yes, the power of this system to actually be analysing the footage. You know, it is quite shocking. Yeah, absolutely. So the ability for recognition. So yeah, you know, I think that people do get very emotional about this subject, and you're going to see it. You're going to see it everywhere. You know. You're going to see people wanting to hurt circle makers, wanting to smash their cars up, wanting to do this, wanting to do that. But the thing is, I don't actually see many circle makers ever raising their voices about the researchers, really, apart from saying, you know, what a lying bunch of bastards. You know, it doesn't really get, but, you know, yeah, they're lying, and that's about as much as they say. I mean, I'm probably one of the most animated and outspoken crop circle makers there is on this subject. I mean, you don't see other people getting quite as heated and animated as me. And even I say, well, you know, I wouldn't wish anything bad to happen to these people, but I'm going to debate them. I will debate them viciously with my voice, but I'm not wishing anything bad to happen to these people, just because they're out there telling it their way. And, that's their choice. That's their right to do so. It's also my right to redress that and get a right to reply. That's the way to attack these things, is not with fists and swords and bombs. It's, the pen is mightier than the sword, I think, personally. So, Crop Dolly says, yes, but I've taken a lot of shit off others, I think she says, because she's of others, but off others, I think she means. So yeah, I have taken a lot of shit off people, and I've had a lot of things said about me which aren't true, but at the end of the day, I'm big enough to be here and talk about it. And the point is that these people literally have, by the way they've operated in the past, and by the denials they've made, and by the attacks they've made, is why this television show is here. It is a byproduct of the way that people behave and respond. They do not take what we say seriously. They attack, they deny, they discredit, they do these things, and they make up stories, and then they wonder then why there's a TV channel called CirclemakersTV, and then Andrew Buckley is writing saying, I will get this taken off the air, I'm going to get this taken off the air, I'm going to use everything and the police, and we're going to get this taken down. Why are they so offended by this TV channel? Is it because it cuts a little bit too close to home, too close to the bone, exposing things that they don't want exposed, embarrassing people with the truth, rather than lies and hate and shit? The truth, is it sort of like pointing a light in the direction that people want left in the shadows, because it serves their interests for it to be left in the shadows, and me shining a big spotlight around the place, actually illuminating the truth? You've got to be careful when you use the word illuminate, because people start thinking that you're some sort of like New World Order proponent. But illumination of facts and the truth, I think, is fair enough to say. But that's what we do here on CirclemakersTV. So anyway, it's coming up to 10:02. I'll finish it now, I think, because we haven't got much more to say. I think I've said it all. And hopefully next week we shall have a guest. I did try to get Mystic Merlin to come on, and Mystic Merlin said, what was his words now? He said something like, in his email, I'm not interested. And I said, why aren't you interested? In my reply, I said, why aren't you interested? Because surely you've got a lot to say. And his reply back was, it's because of the alien agenda. So I wrote back to him and said, what do you mean by the alien agenda? And then he wrote back and he said, you're not supposed to know. So I did try to get Mystic Merlin to come on the show. He has said he may not come on the show. So I've said, if you change your mind in the future, come on, because I'd like him to talk about his experience of seeing that strange black thing make the crop circle in the field, and also how he had a lot of money deposited in his account, which the bank said that he was allowed to keep because the police couldn't track where this money had come from, but they couldn't track where it had come from, but they weren't saying it was stolen either, so he was allowed to keep the money. Very interesting. But he says he doesn't want to come on, so we shall see. I'm going to try and get Judith Jafar has said she will come on. She is the chairwoman of ex-chairwoman of Bufora. She was their chairwoman for many years, and she's got some interesting stories to tell about crop circles and Bufora's involvement in investigations and what their position is on all of this. So I'm hoping she will come on quite soon. She said she's going to come down and visit us, and there's a possibility, we may have a CirclemakersTV special this Sunday with a Circle Maker who can only come down this weekend. So if they're prepared to, we might get them on that seat over there. Don't know whether it's going to be masks on, masks off, voice changer, no voice changer. Don't know at this point, but they've said they're interested in coming on. So we may have a new exclusive Circle Maker, not from this part of the country. works it somewhere else in the country. I do know them. I have verified that they are a circle maker. I've known them for a few years, but they don't get down this way very often, so I may have to do a special on Sunday. If we do, I will email via YouTube. I'll put it on the live stream channel, and I will put it on Facebook to let people know that that's going to happen. So if you've been watching, thank you very much. Hope you found it interesting, and sorry if I've gone a little bit over the top with Andy Buckley, but I do think the points were fairly valid. So, okay, thank you very much for watching, and we shall catch you soon.